got a room full of weapons but no enemies. Stun gun, Colt 45. I've got 1,000 Yabba tablets, which is a life sentence in my pocket.
Wasn't your first night in jail accompanied by a dead person?
You know, you'd wake up and there's someone be dead in the cell. A witness murder there.
Just plunging the knife in his organs.
Threatened with HIV. There were pens with pins at the end, full of blood. You know, and I've had that put in my neck.
That was your warning.
I'm eating prison food, which is like chicken feet, and it stinks. There was no ambulance available, so he threw me in this wheelbarrow.
And you must have been asked 100 times if you ever fucked a ladyboy.
Stabbing himself, right? And it was literally squirting.
So you relapsed again?
Yeah.
With the cancer?
And I'd go through brick walls to get what I needed. I try not to fucking create any harm, but I won't fucking take any shit. At the age of 16, I'd had my ear bit off over an Easter egg. I've been slashed in prison over the chocolate biscuits. The silliest things, but I thank God I'm not the man I used to be.
Why were you forced to watch him get raped? For the last year, I've been working with Ryan from 𝐶𝐭, and now they're sponsoring our channel so we can keep bringing you these conversations. 𝐶𝐭 are the #1 mentoring program that teaches you e-commerce step by step where no previous experience is necessary. Whilst working with 𝐶𝐭, I've seen life-changing money be made and community members free up more time to spend with their families. A successful business is not built overnight, and you would need to put in the work before reaping the rewards. The more you put in, the more you get out. The community are full of like-minded people, all striving for success and all willing to help each other. 𝐶𝐭 offer one-on-one training, online courses and group seminars so you get all the support you need to succeed. If you're looking for a new opportunity, get in touch with Ryan via Instagram at @RyanJB and he'll take you through all the steps to building your own successful business. Billy.
Nice to meet you.
And you, mate. Thanks for coming on. I didn't get much sleep last night. I sat up and I watched previous interviews of yours. I watched the film that was made about you. I read through Wikipedia, other bits and pieces. And to be honest, mate, I had a lump in my throat half the way through. So I know this is going to be a heavy one. And I think your story warrants the full story, the full uncut story that no one else has heard. I know you've done interviews before, but your journey from childhood up into your street journalism is action-packed, highs, lows, adversity like I've never seen. And yeah, I tip my hat to you before we even begin. So if you're happy to take it all the way back to childhood, your relationship with your father and how you ended up becoming addicted to heroin at 17. I know that's a loaded question, but if you just take me through the first 17 years of your life.
Okay, so for me, you know, growing up I think it was quite difficult because, you know, your dad's your hero. For me, he was my hero. And, you know, for your hero to keep beating you up and screaming at you and telling you that you're no son of his, you know, it hurt deep, you know, and it was always trying to impress him and look for his acknowledgements. And, you know, I was the oldest out of 6. So you can imagine, like, how difficult it was back then. There's 6 of us in the house. My dad was drinking alcohol, you know, on a regular basis. My mum, she was working every hour God could fucking send, to be fair. And, you know, he'd beat the living daylights out of me ma. I'd have to witness it. And you know, you've been so small, you know, and you think, oh, wow, I wish I could step in. I'm feeling really powerless about being able to help her. And having to watch it and be subjected to the screams and the violence and then getting taken out the house early hours in the morning with your mum and like 3 or 4 other siblings because the rest weren't born by this time, and you're walking the streets of it, you know, in the freezing cold, hiding from your dad. It was, I used to think that was normal. I'd go to school and think everyone's dad went round, battered them, battered the ma, and threw his dinner plate at the wall, and I thought, that's just normal, it's just how it is. But then when you speak to people, and they're going, what, and they're looking at you, like, with shock horror, and they're not identifying and relating with it, you think, well, I feel a bit different now, I don't fit in. Better keep it to myself. I better not tell this one. I better not tell that one. So it became a big secret for me, you know, because I remember trying to share it with a family friend who I thought at the time was going to be like supportive. And he went and told me, Dad, you know, your son's saying that you've beat him up. And then next thing, you know, what happens? I get beat up again. And that's just how it was. You know, I was on that, it was just never ending for me. And my dad was a boxer, or he claimed to be a boxer. I'd never ever seen him fight. I'd never seen him go to the gym. But he used to have posters of like Alan Minter on the wall and, you know, John Conte and, you know, from the Ring magazine back in the day, and you think, well, you know what, maybe if I joined a boxing club, you know, my dad would acknowledge me and he'd be impressed, and I did. I joined at an early age, and you know, went to this gym regular, you know, 3 times a week. You know, the only thing I really knew how to do was defend myself, because I remember it was Paul King, and he said to me, he says, you've got a good defence. And I thought, because that's all I've ever done, was put my hands up to cover my face when I'm getting beat up by my half fella. And, you know, I learned a few skills in the gym. And then eventually, after training for such a long time, I think it was about 6, 7, 8 months, they offered me like a competition, you know, you were a fight. I think it was about 12, 13 at the time. And I ran home and I was so excited, right? And I wanted to tell my dad, look, you know, they give me the opportunities to fight. And he was sat in his little chair. And we never had a remote control. He'd sit in front of the telly, right? And he'd turn it over with his toes. Fucking lazy bastard. Just turn the TV over. We never even had one of them remotes on a rope. You remember them?
Yeah.
Big wire things. And he'd sit there. He wouldn't even acknowledge you. He'd have a cigarette, smoking away. The room would be full of smoke. There'd be an ashtray full of stumps. You know, there'd be a can at the side of the chair. And this was just how it was. This was life. Mm-hmm. And I'd say, Dad, I've got a fight coming up. Blah, blah, blah. And he didn't even turn and look at me. He went, do you know, if you don't knock him out in the first round, I'm going to knock you out. I was like, what? I was more scared of him than the guy I was going to fight, you know. And I remember thinking, fucking hell, I've got to knock this fella out. Mm. And it was Waterloo. It was the first show. I was at Waterloo. And, you know, now it'd probably be classed as a skill fight, but back in the day, it was 3 rounds. 3 90-second rounds.
Giving it all you had.
Yeah, giving it all you had. It wasn't a skill round. It wasn't like, there was no nutrition. You just got on the scales. If you weighed about the same, yeah, you're getting in. You know, this kid was a short, stocky little lump. I was dead skinny. I had a shock of ginger hair, did bad fucking crown on my head, loads of freckles. You know, I was getting called shit splash in school.
Well, kids were fucking cruel back in our day at school, weren't they?
So, yeah, to be fair, they were. Especially when you didn't have the right clothes, and you know, not that you know, because we were never scruffs, we were quite clean, but we just never had, you know, the labels, the Farah, the Ben Shermans. You know, people won't know what they are if they're at a certain age, but back then, if you're at, you know, my age, you know, Farah and Ben Sherman, if you had a few quid, or at the very least. And I remember saying to this kid in the corner before we got in the ring, I am going to knock you out in the first round. And he just looked at me like, the fuck? I meant it. I'm going to punch your head and I'm going to put you on your ass, because if I don't, my half fella, when I get home, will just knock fuck out of me, simple as. And the first round came and went, and he just looked like a punch bag. He just defended himself. He didn't go down. I was like, fuming. Second round, done the same again, just went out there and punched the living daylights out of him. And in the end, the ref stopped the contest. You know, second round stoppage. Give me the trophy, like that, yes, fucking went home. But still feeling a bit deflated, excited initially, but then, you know, when it's home, I've got to go and tell me dad, you know, that must be an horrible feeling to go home after achieving something for the first time in your life. You know, you've got this trophy, you've put the kid out in the second round, in a sense, and then you've got to go and tell your dad that you didn't knock him out. And he went, do better next time. Well done. And I thought, well, that was a bit more of an, you know, he did acknowledge me there for the moment. And I did notice that. Then my second fight, he came. I mean, my dad wouldn't go anywhere. You know, he came and he started going to shows. So I started feeling like he was taking more of an interest and, you know, acknowledging me.
Did you feel like you was winning him over?
No, because he was weird, my dad. He was like,
nothing you could do was good enough.
No, I don't know what it was with him. The fear I lived in with my dad was unpredictable. I could take the beatings. It got to a stage, right, where, you know, you could beat me all you want. The pain was like, I was used to it. It was when it was going to happen, because we'd have to stand in the corner with our hands on our head. Me and my other brother, he's a year younger. He never got it as bad as me for some reason. I don't know why, but my dad seemed to favour me more than anyone else. And he used to call me a ginger-headed bastard, you know, son of mine. You know, made me feel like I wasn't part of the family, to a point where I felt that I never did fit in. And every time I was out, I'd be looking through someone's window, like, you know.
Looking at other families, thinking that looks nice.
Yeah, always wishing I'd been adopted, and, you know, definitely, something was fucking definitely off. But yeah, it was the unpredictable fear. So that's just how it was for me. Even as I was growing like a bit big and putting a little bit of timber on, I'd still shy away from him. Even at the thought of like I can probably take him on here.
He'd had you beat in the mind.
Oh yeah, psychologically. Till the first time that I did. I remember I come in and he grabbed me by the throat. I think I was about 15 this time, so I'm getting a little bit, I'm a bit halfway through my teens here. And he's grabbed me by the throat, well, early teens. And I just threw a dig at him. That was it. I just reacted. And you know what he did, right? He stopped immediately, put his hands down, didn't say nothing, just walked back into the front room and sat down. And you know how I felt? And I felt so guilty, so ashamed of myself, so embarrassed of like, what I've done to my dad. It was a horrible like feeling that I had, and to experience it.
He still made you feel bad even when you'd done something right.
Like, I went in the front room and sat there, and it was just silence. And that's how it just became for years then. There was never any communication. There was never any relationship. He was in our lives till he passed away, give or take. But them early years, there was no nurturing, there was no love. My mum had too many kids to kind of support. I think the only time we had any intimacy was like on a Sunday night when we were getting the nick home, put through our hair as kids, by my mum. And it was the closeness, the intimacy, and we'd get the bath. We had to get a bath with my brother because we'd have to save on water. That's just how it was. And that every Sunday there was a roast, and then after a roast there was a Sunday tea time with cakes, jellies. And there was a time, and I always shared this, and I read this in my first book. It was like one of them significant moments in your life where you remember it, and it'll never ever go away. It was my birthday, and I was 12, and I think I had to be in for about 7 overnight. We weren't like. Now the kids are out all night till early hours. They don't care. But for us at that time, there were strict rules. You're in at 7. And I thought, yeah, I'm 12. I'm going to come in a little bit later. I'm a little bit older now. 7:30, I'll come in. And I did. And I swear, when I come in, sat at the table with me 5 younger siblings, all party hats on, jelly and wobbling on the table and cakes and all that. It's your birthday. I had this silver grey jumper and these silver grey pants that my mum got from a catalogue. She's paying it off weekly. I don't know, I wouldn't wear stuff like that now. But back then, she tried the best. So I look smart in a sense. And he just come running in, didn't say a word. Right, and just threw a dig right at me. And it hit me centre in the nose, and my nose just burst open. And blood everywhere. My mum was screaming at him, "You horrible fucking this, that and the other." Next thing she said, "Get that jumper off." And I'm standing there naked in the kitchen in a little bit of like white fronts, 12 years old, with my mum putting this jumper and these pants in like a bowl of salt water, trying to get the blood out. I was like, trying to like salvage the and I was just shivering all my brothers. I looked at my brothers and sisters, and I seen them, and I was like, whoa. Like the first time, I had like a lump in my chest, like, whoa, these are all frightened.
Yeah, your mum's covering because she's scared of him too.
Yeah, she's, he's just marched back into the living room, sat down, and that's just how it was. It was horrible the way we had to live. But, in all fairness, like my 5 other like siblings, they were never really hit by him or attacked or threatened. He was more loving and caring to my sisters and, my younger brother. And
you probably sat there and thought, what the fuck happened there? I know I have with my situation. And then, see, when I found out that you was on heroin by 17, it's another thing I could relate to because I was almost on heroin at 17. See, my dad abused me in a different way your dad abused you. Mine was more used psychological warfare, sexualised me from a very young age, and he fed me Class A drugs stemming from, a lot of people know this, but it's just to know that you're in good hands. Started with puff, then amphetamine, then acid, DF118s, and he ended up on the smack. And I distanced myself from him just before he started getting on it. So if I hadn't have gone running to my mum saying, my brain's completely mangled, my dad's feeding me drugs every time I'm with him, I would have ended up with a heroin habit around 16, 17 too. Yeah. So how did you get into heroin?
I think by the time, so give or take, let's say 15, 16, I'm boxing on a regular basis now. NABCs, schoolboys.
Winning most as well, weren't you?
Yeah,
16 bouts, won most of them.
Yeah. So I was like, I picked up a few skills, and I wouldn't say it was anything like special, but I was, my first 5 fights I won. I thought it was unbeatable, but then you lose one, and then kind of you take a little knock for it, and then you lose another, and you win one, and it's like it's trying to chase them wins then. But yeah, so I was getting like the confidence back, and I didn't want to be in the house because the house all had a mad atmosphere. I was getting a little bit older for me. Like I couldn't really, my brothers and sisters were quite young, so there was no playing around with them. I ended up like standing on street corners, and next thing people are, they're drinking cider and smoking spliffs. And curiosity, I'll have a little go with that. To fit in, to be a part of something. There was girls there, the attention. I didn't feel like good about myself because at the age of 16, I'd had my ear bit off in a fight over an Easter egg. The silliest things. I've been slashed in prison over the chocolate biscuits. It just doesn't make any sense. So we always felt like ugly, and I haven't got a face that like, women want to worship, but it did make me feel as if, like, my self-esteem's on the floor here.
You say that, mate. I think you're quite handsome.
Thank you very much, sir. But my self-esteem was on the floor. It was quite low. In fact, it was fucking battered. So I never felt like the opposite sex would want to be attracted to myself. But I'd always try to fit in, and as you do, drinking and smoking, and that I didn't realise that. We had an allergic reaction to drinking drugs, and I don't mean like I break out in lumps and bumps. I mean, I break out in crime, prison, misery, and a lot of fucking jail. So for me, when
self-destruct.
So when I picked up, it was like a roller coaster. It snowballed. My addiction didn't it wasn't like progressive to a point like where within months I was smoking heroin with a prostitute that I'd met in Liverpool city centre. It was just a couple of years older than me. She must have been about 19. I was 17.
So she introduced you to smack?
She did. And it was...
chasing it or banging it up?
Chasing it. So for me, it was... She asked me, could I get her ecstasy one night on Night Street in Liverpool? I went, me? I went, yeah, of course I can. I didn't know where to fucking get it from, unless you were in a nightclub. And then the other girl, the one who kind of like introduced me to heroin, said, can you get us any gear? I went, what gear? Smack? She went, yeah. And I knew this kid, and he was literally walking past this kid called Paddy. And I went, Paddy, where can I get a bit of swag from? So we said, go and see such and such. I went, come on, girls, I know where to go. Like I knew everything, you know what I mean? Took them to this flat, knocked at the door, got a little thing, and I'm sitting there at the bottom of these stairs while they're smoking it. And I'm just watching it, just amazed, because it's turning from powder into oil, and they're chasing it up and down this foil, these 2 young girls, and they went, want to go? I went, no, I just love a weed, me, I love a little spliff, and that's about it for me. And then it's all make you feel horny. And that was it, fucking followed.
That's all you needed to hear.
That's all, cool edge, and it gives a go, bang, and next thing, I've moved in with this girl, 17 years old, she lived over the water, like on a peninsula, the Wirral side. She's sadly passed away now, and there was a brief period of time I was with her, but I was engulfed in this madness of using just heroin. Did try a little bit of crack, wasn't for me at the time. It just come on the scene. It was like the late 80s.
Was you sick the first time you smoked brown?
Oh yeah. Oh, I was spewing up. It was
it's always amazed me. The first time anybody does heroin, they throw their guts up, but they go back for more.
Yeah, and I couldn't fucking piss for days, and I was constipated in my eyes with pins, and and I went back for more, because once I've been, I've spewed up, it was like it was a different story then. It's like the Albert Einstein's quote in it, repeat the same mistakes and expect a different result. It was always the same, and I kind of like got into a place where I developed an habit pretty quick.
I suppose you were desperate to clock out of what was going on at home.
Yeah, it was the escape again, like the cannabis, the alcohol, the magic mushrooms. I can go into a drugology and stuff that I'd talk. I'd take anything that was given to me at the time.
What about the boxing? Was it a case you had a lust for the sport, or was that also escapism
I believe that was an escapism, because this is what I learned, right, from, and it didn't come to me till years later. You could punch me all over the place. And I didn't mind the pain. But the emotional stuff crucified me. The feelings, You know, we don't talk about feelings. You know, we don't go down that road. You know, the emotional upheaval, the nightmares, the trauma, the adverse childhood experiences. You know, we don't realise that, you know, the lack of love, the loss of a childhood through kind of having to take care of it. I've got a brother who's got autism, and he kept running away at an early age, and we'd have to go and keep hold of him and mind him, and you know, so we were never able to be children ourselves in a sense, and I always resented that. You know, growing up as a teenager, that fucking pisses me off. I've got to mind him again. Now he's my best mate.
You're brilliant with your brother, by the way. Anyone that follows you on your social media, like, it's a beautiful connection that you've got.
I do. I love 𝐼𝐸𝐵. I mean, he's just so, like, keeps it simple, you know, and it's
You're like his carer, aren't you?
Yeah, my mum's his carer. I'm not going to take credit for that. You know, I'm sort of like, I'm his go-to in a sense. You know, he'll pick up the phone, and he's very limited in his vocabulary. I go, "Hi, Joe, sound, I'm good." There's never any conversation. Unless he's arguing with you, then he can come up with some kind of choice words then. But that's very, very rare unless you wind them up, and it takes a lot to wind them up. But sometimes I feel like I need to wind them up to get a little rise out of him. But then, you know, we settle down and we have a little laugh. But
what was you like at talking when you was a younger man? Was violence the easiest language to fathom?
I definitely became sort of the person my dad was, but without the drink.
Monkey see, monkey do,
yeah,
innit?
so I was fueled by drugs. So, you know, there's a saying, you know, we live to use and use to live. Very simply, an addict is a man or a woman whose life is controlled by drugs, you know. And I'd go through brick walls to get what I needed. If you had it, I'm getting it. I don't care how, but I'm getting it. You know, if you want to share it, then, you know, I'll have more.
And what was your crime of choice? What was the thing that got you banged up the first time?
Burglary. So.
And was that to feed your habit?
Yeah. So for me, you know, and I wouldn't glamorise me crime, because it was never, you know, I'd always feel embarrassed and ashamed. And, you know, I had a little comment today on X saying, "Oh, did you, you know, about your neighbour's house?" And I thought, well, okay, yeah. You can read that in a book. You know, I've made mistakes and made amends as well at the same time. I'm not I don't claim to be Mother Teresa. You know, I was funding a habit. I was doing things that I didn't want to do. Going to places that I didn't want to go, you know, always feeling ashamed, always feeling embarrassed, but just could not, for the life of me, stop doing what I was doing, no matter what. You know, I'd rob anyone if you let on to me, and I thought you had a few quid and you're trying to be nice. You know, I was either thinking you're either gay if you're a fella, or I was just going to fucking tie you up and rob you. You know what I mean? It was, there was no, so yeah, whether it was robberies, whether it was theft, shoplifting, burglary, drug-related crimes.
You just done what you had to do to feed your habit. So every time you got banged up, did you have to go through the cluck?
Yes. Yeah, not like it is today where they put you on a methadone script.
Yeah.
You know, back then it was like, drop your 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭, let's feel your plums, cough, and then give you 2 paracetamol. Fucking hell, is that like the medication? Is that
That's not gonna
is that the detox you're going to give me?
It's not going to quite cut the mustard when you got a smack habit. And how big was your habit?
You know, whatever I could afford at the time, to be fair. So, you know, went from like a bag a day to what? To like a gram, 2 grams, you know, to a point where then when I started smoking crack cocaine, I needed to thunder a bit more. You know, I got to a point when I was 18, I was mainlining it, you know, I was injecting drugs.
It's so hard to believe looking at you now. Yeah. People that follow you, that watch you bench press 3 plates, overhead press 2 plates, come back from cancer, which we'll get to. Yeah. So did you move to Thailand in order to get away from all the madness?
I think, I'll tell you what happened there. It was like, you know, once you pick up drugs, you know, you end up in prison. Simple as, you know. Some people can manage it and not go to jail, but for me, you know, I was very unmanageable. I was leaving fingerprints everywhere. You know, I was just rushing in and out, grafting, you know, couldn't care less as long as he had the money to buy the drugs to fund the habit. And then I'd suffer the consequences at a later date.
You're just thinking 10 minutes ahead every time.
Yeah, so once I'm in jail, it's like, oh, you know, I should have done that. I should have done this. If I'd only done that, you know, I should have worn them gloves. Oh, them ifs and buts and maybes when I've sat in them cells, you know, and I've sat, you know, praying, I won't do it again, I promise you, I've had enough. And then writing Pulitzer Prize winning letters to your family from a jail cell telling them it's going to be different. I'll never do it again. You know, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired and fed up. You know, and they're just getting these letters and going, yeah, he said that last time, he said that last time.
And were you violent in British? Because I know you were violent in Thailand because you couldn't communicate with people properly and you was frustrated. But were you violent in British jails where you could use your mouth rather than your fists?
Yeah, well, you had to be. It was, it's, you know, it's not mother care. It's not mother care, is it? You know, you're in prison. And people think, you know, it's like it's dog eat dog.
Because you probably weren't built like you are now. If you had a habit back then, you probably looked like you had a habit.
Yeah.
So people would try and take liberties.
I look like I walk in 1 mil. I mean, so when I went to prison, you know, I had to build myself up again, and you know, because I had a few skills, you know, in the ring, you know, I could utilise them, and you know, with the half an ear and the scars and the skinhead, and you know, you looked the part.
Yeah.
You know, so it was kind of more of a little bit of armour to protect myself.
Right.
Because, you know, I was scared, but I didn't want to show you that I was scared.
No, I get
But at the same time, I don't want to fight you, but I'm not going to back down. And I'm not going to go on the numbers, and I'm not going to go down the block, right? So if it goes off, then, you know, someone's getting hurt, and most of the time it was fucking me. You know, and they always come off worse, because it's not like a kung fu movie where he goes down. You see stars when you get it, you know. It's not nice.
The shift to Thailand, because this whole Thailand chapter is what the film's based on.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a story, mate.
Yeah.
Let's go through it. How did you? So you're in Thailand. What was your lifestyle like when you moved out there? Why did you move out there, and why did you get arrested and then sent to jail?
Well, I've got to begin with, like, you know, when I've been in prison, I'm in and out all the time, all the violence, I'm fed up. And what I said to you, you know, there's a realisation of like the way I was behaving and the way I was reacting. At one point, I was in Lancaster Castle prison, banging on this wall. This kid next door, only got a few months left, me, and he's going, "All right, Bill." You know, he speaks different. I went, "Bring your tea bag out when you opens up, lad." He went, "No." I went, "What? What do you mean no? Like, who the fuck is he to say no to me? This is you know, like I'm someone else." I go, "Lads, I'm going to smash your head in when that door gets opened up." He went, "Okay." I thought, fucking hell, he's getting this kid over the tea bag, right? Over the PG tips, by the way. This is where it was going.
We're not talking technically here.
No, it's all bang, and I'm fucking fuming, I'm pacing the pad. You know, waiting for because we get opened up, it's like tea, and you get a few minutes on the land, and I was just going to barge in. And the door's opened. I thought, he's game, I'm game. Fucking tea bag cunt, I'll fucking smash his head. And he stands there and he went, "Why don't you just say please?" Right? And it was like, I went, "Have you got a tea bag, please?" He went, "There you go." And I thought, fucking hell, that was all right, man. So I started developing manners.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like unnatural for me. "Thank you, please." So I started, like, you know, learning to communicate a little bit better. This is where I started to change, in a sense. And then, you know, I get this, like, when I was getting released from the, you know, every time I've been released from the prison, it's like, I get gates happy, can't wait to get out, because I know what I'm going to do. But this time I was thinking, I can't fucking get out. I can't, you know, every fibre in my body was screaming, I'm going to fucking use drugs if I get out again. And I don't want to be sat in this cell, you know, year after year after year, you know, ruining my family's life. Having no one around me, burnt every bridge. I had no friends, I had no relationships, no nothing, no kids, everything was gone. Just me, and fucking, that's just how it was. And I reached out and asked for help. A probation officer. I'll tell you what happened. I forgot to mention this. This is the significant change. I was in Walton Prison, 2004, HMP Liverpool, and it was the hottest day of the year. And we were banged up 23 hours a day. Well, 23, we were only out for 15 minutes, give or take, on the yard. And we all went on the exercise yard, and someone said, "Look, we're not going to go back in. We're going to have a sit-off. It's too hot, fuck them." You know, I thought, that sounds like a great idea, you know what I mean? So when he called us in, everyone refused. I thought, fucking is right. So an hour went by, then another. People had drifted in and out at the time. They had, you know, they're going drifting in, and I think there was about 100 inmates left on the yard. You know, then another inmate said, "Should we get on the roof?" I went, fucking hell, that's even better. The hottest day of the year. Let's get on the roof. By this time, there's about 15 of us left on the prison yard. And someone threw sheets out the window. So we made this makeshift rope, tied around this kid called Oxty's waist. He shimmied up this drain pipe. How he done it was incredible. And he's got onto the roof. And the minute he's got on, all the windows were banging. There were screams of yells of approval. "Go ahead, Oxty!" And he stood there like Rocky Marsh's fucking mellow on the roof, you know what I mean? Like, and I was looking up going, wow, I want a bit of that. So everyone's climbing up, they get the same response, the windows are banging, everyone's cheering, it's, we're rebelling, we're going against the system, it's mutiny, it's my turn. I'm halfway up, I'm the oldest by the time, at this age, at this stage. And I'm halfway up this fucking rope, and there's this screw called Mr. Muscle, that's his name, Mr. Muscle. And I got on well with him, and he's at the gate, and I heard him shout, "You'll never get up there, you fat ass." And I've looked, something's like, I've slipped, and I've hit the floor, because I've come fucking scurrying down this rope, I've hit the floor, my fucking ass is fucking killing me. I'm full of shame and embarrassment, I want the floor to swallow me up. And I thought, I've got to get back up, you know what I mean? And it turned into something like a North Sea rescue, they're pulling me up in the end, right? Gets on the roof, the windows are banging, everyone's cheering, yes, my hands are in the air. But then it just went silent, and then I looked around, sudden realisation, what have I done? I know when it comes down, there's going to be consequences we're going to get, because these screws in Bolton back then, they were naughty, they fucking not fuck out of you. So, I was up there 14 hours. I had to stay the in a pair of shorts, suntan, pasty pale skin, got heat stroke. I ended up collapsing on the roof, coming down on a cherry picker with a crash helmet on, in a stretcher. Right? Everyone was going, stay up. I was like, fuck, stay up. I fucking can't wait to get down. I've had enough of this.
I've got sunstroke.
Yeah. Came down, and then we got a little island down the block. Everyone got shanghaied to different prisons. I ended up in Leeds Army down the block on a GOAD, which is a good order and discipline. And I was down the block for 8 months, right, in a solitary confinement. So I'd get out on exercise on my own back in. And I had a relationship with this guy next door, young lad. He was doing life. I think he was about 22. And this is where things started to change, because one afternoon, the alarm bells went off. My flap opened. "Are you okay? You okay?" "Yeah, I'm all right, yeah. Sound, right? What's going on?" Nothing. Found out the guy next door who had been speaking to had hung himself during dinner time, dead. And that was like fucking nearly at home, you know what I mean? Because I was comfortable in solitary confinement because I was clean, I wasn't getting any drugs, but I was quite raw as well. And the two screws said to me, "Look, do you want to phone your mum?" And I went, "Yeah." So they marched me, and they put the mask on, I marched out the cell, with these two giant screws standing next to me. Picks up the phone. He hadn't spoken to me mum for about 18 months. She didn't even know where I was. Didn't think she cared. She answered after a few rings. She went, "All right, mum, it's Billy." She started sobbing. "Where are you? What's going on? We've missed you." And I'm not going to mess, right? I had this lump come up in my throat. I had tears welling up in my eyes. And I thought, if I blink, these two are going to get on me and they're going to see me as a weak man. And I couldn't answer that because I was afraid that if I did, they'd notice it. And my mum, she just knew. She went, "Son, just ask for help, right? I know you're here." And just, that just hit me there. I went, I don't know how I kept my eyes up like that, but I walked back to the cell, same swagger. That door couldn't wait for it to shut. It's shut. I sat down and I sobbed, right? And I thought, this is it. This is my rock bottom. I've had enough. And I wrote this letter to the probation officer. He came up to see me. He said, "Look, we can offer you treatment." I said, "I'll take anything at the minute." And I went into this treatment centre on Driftwood, and that's where I started to get into recovery, understanding that I had an addiction. Like I said, I was doing things I didn't want to do. I was facing the shame and the guilt, trying to make amends the best way I could by just staying clean initially was enough for my family, for society as a whole. Because when I use, I become really like volatile, and I'm not really nice, to be fair. I'm a monster. And then I'm in recovery. I'm going to these meetings. I'm seeing people that I've used with. I'm thinking, fucking hell, what's going on here? They're saying to me, "You're worth it, Bill. Just keep coming back." No one ever told me to come back anywhere. People wanted to listen to me, and I thought, this is a bit different. This is like, they were saying, "This is a new way of life for you." And that was the only way of life I knew was prison, institutions, and premature death. That was on the cards. So yeah, and I kind of liked it. And then I met this guy from Liverpool. He was living up in Bristol because that's where I was located. We're in this mock Tudor mansion, this rehab, with lily ponds, big green rolling hills, and it was just food. It was nice healthy stuff, and there was a gym. We could, it was just things with like different. I'd never been on holiday, so that was like I'd been all over the UK in a sweatbox, but I'd never been like abroad. And the only place we ever went to was Pontins as kids, and that was once during the summer holidays with the family. And this was like a little breakaway, and that's when I got the passport. I got my bank account.
And how old are you at this stage?
I must have been about 29, going on 30. And then this guy, the kid who was saying from Liverpool, was an avid traveller to Thailand, and he said, he showed me the idea of a great country. It was tropical, the food was cheap, the women were great, this, that, and the other. You'd love it. It's very, it's something you'd like. So I saved up. I'd done loads of little odd jobs, washing cars, washing dishes and stuff like that, and I'd saved a little bit of money.
But an honest living.
Yeah. So it was going to be the trip of a lifetime. We were going to go for 3 months. It was a backpacking holiday, Southeast Asia. It was like something I dreamed of. It was exciting. And I'm like a world class card carrying, pleasure seeking me. I'd squeeze myself into a tight pair of undies just for a feeling, because take away the drugs, finding me feelings from everyone else and everywhere else.
Yeah.
I can't use drugs no more. I mean, abstinence. I'm not talking like I can have a spliff or a drink. You know what I mean, Liam? I'm talking like total abstinence.
Are you always chasing a buzz?
Back then?
Yeah. Even now, I still chase a buzz. Even if it's something that makes me feel slightly uncomfortable, it's a buzz.
Yeah.
Weird to explain.
Yeah, it's to fill a void. We've got a void here that we need to fill. There's a vacuum, isn't it? For me, it's like, filling it with other things, like shopping.
Yeah, consumerism, fighting, running, extreme exercise. Yeah, sorry to put you off.
No,
I relate to a lot of what you're saying.
No, it's the gym. Yeah, it's an obsession. It's a healthy obsession for me anyway. Yeah, and that's how it was. And gets off this plane in Bangkok, 3 months. This is what's going to happen. It never turned out like that, to be fair.
What was your first impression of Bangkok when you got there? Fucking mad old place.
The first impression was like, as soon as that door opened, the heat hit me. And it was November, and it was like, it was snowing when I left.
It's smog Bangkok, isn't it?
It was snowing when I left, so this immense heat. Wow, and I remember getting into a taxi, and we had these wasabi peas that the taxi driver gave us. I've never had wasabi peas. What they are. That was, never even been to a McDonald's. I've never experienced good things. I've got to, we had nothing. So we was used to it, took a lot of drugs, went to a lot of prisons, fucked up my life, made a hell of a lot of mistakes, and now I'm in this new world, and it's exciting, it's different, and I'm trying to relive lost dreams, and, watching this Muay Thai boxing and these bars areas, and I thought, I'll get in the ring, and I'll have a little scrappy, mate. Don't get in the ring with any of these sides, they'll fucking break your ribs in 2 rounds. And
it's amazing that there's rings, like social event full of rings, and like anyone can just put their hand up and get in there and fight the local
and that was
Thai
me,
boxer.
So I put a pair of shorts on, got in, got my ribs broke.
Still gravitated to the violence.
Yeah, still gravitated to the violence. And that same shout, repeat the same mistake but expect different results. I got in again 6 weeks later, and I learned a lesson from the first time, and I enjoyed it. And it was like it was just like reliving all of them lost years, learning a new skill. It's happened pretty well to their, their Muay Thai skills.
So you learnt Muay Thai as well while you was over there?
Yeah. So I thought, I had loads of
So you was elbows, knees, everything?
So I learned all of, like, it was an 8-fold martial art.
Yeah.
And I read the whole, like, story about Nike and Tom and about the Burmese war, and about how the Burmese said the old Thais that were, combatants were blessed in every limb with venom because they could fight like there was no tomorrow. And I remember, like, reading about, like, the best of the best, fought the best of the best, karate and this, and they never lasted more than a round with these Muay Thai fighters. And I thought, wow, these are warriors. I want a piece of this, and I'd get in and I'd get fucking leaded, and I enjoyed it. I learned how to put the bottle and get a callus on the shins. Yeah. I was fucking over there, and and it wasn't like going to a camp, it was just getting in. This is it, you get kicked, to defend yourself, and all the Thais couldn't speak English, I couldn't speak Thai, and it was like a game of charades, and it was just showing me, and I was like, fucking just delved right into this world, and me mate went, we've got to go back now. I went, nah, mate, I'm staying here. He said, the 3 months are up. I went, they may be for you, mate, but I'm fucking staying, I fucking love this, I've got nothing to go back to. He went, oh, okay. And that's when I started like trying to gain employment.
Yeah, you got to make a living now, haven't you?
Yeah, so, I had no money left. So I started fighting in the ring overnight for tips. I'm walking around like with this box with these ties. Then I thought, I'm going to get a job as a teacher, because you're there in the bars. Oh, you can get a job teaching English. I can teach English. So I bought a bachelor's degree online. Sorry about that. In physical education, because I thought, if they ask me anything about like physical education, I can probably be in a gym all my life, you know what I mean? And I did do a TEFL online as well, so I paid for that. So I had a teaching English as a foreign language course, so I had a proper certificate for that. But then I kind of threw a bevy on with the bachelor's. That was a blag. Went into this school, private school, and was given a job immediately. Had a shirt on, skinhead, tie. It was bizarre.
So far it's going quite well.
Yeah. So I've got given this job as a teacher. And put in my first lesson the next day with 50 Thai students, no lesson planning. And I've walked in, I'm fucking terrified. They're all, good morning, teacher, how are you today? Like, what am I going to teach them? You know what I mean? I know it's just like vocabulary, it's not academic skills that I've got to provide. So it was just, how are you? And, it didn't really last long, because a few months, they were a bit concerned with the accent, because they were saying that they sound like little Scousers, you know what I mean? They actually thought I was a foreigner, to be honest.
Thai Scousers.
Yeah, because they like them to speak with an American twang or very English.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really that good, so I didn't really provide a good service. But then an opportunity to work with Sylvester Stallone come up. I got a phone call, actually.
Yeah, how does that even happen?
I was in the gym, and there's a guy, he's one of us, he's on X, he was in Coronation Street, Matt Marsden. Lovely fella. I was in the gym in Chiang Mai, the Royal Orchid Hotel. I remember it well. He was in there on the machine. I was just in there training. And I thought, he looks like a fighter. I recognised him somewhere, because they used to have posters all over the Chiang Mai city centre with these up-and-coming fights with foreigners and Thais. And I thought, is he a fighter? So I asked him, and he went, no, I'm an actor. I was on Coronation Street. I'm here for this movie called Rambo 4. I was, oh, fucking hell. Stallone here. He went, yeah. I said, have you met him? He said, of course, I'm working with him. I thought, that must be exciting. I always loved Rocky and Rambo with, the 80s, action heroes. And a couple of days later, this casting crew came in looking for all non-Thais. It was the Westerners, and asked me for my name, took a photograph, left them my number and an email. And then a couple of days after that, I get a phone call. I thought, this is, because I told everyone, I couldn't contain myself. I'm in the bars selling everyone, yeah, the casting crew come in. And so I thought someone was winding me up. They went to some American bird, hey, Billy boy, would you like to come in? We need you to play Sylvester Stallone stunt stand-in. And I was like, who's this? Like, no, it's blah, blah, blah. Can we meet you at the Royal Orchid Hotel at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning? I was like, this has got to be a joke, this. But like I thought, I'll go anyway. And I went, and there was a little mini bush, and directed into this bush, and I'm on the bus with these other people I didn't even know. They were all other, they'd all been casted for different roles. And I was like, Sylvester Stallone stunt standing, what does that mean? And the next thing, I'm on set with him, and he's walked in. So I'm on this set called Unit 1. So I've got to be close to him. I was basically his shadow. So when he was doing, I had to do first, like with the bow and arrow, so the camera, it wasn't like a fucking stunt man or nothing with him rolling down hills and getting blown up. I was just like, I'd stand there and the camera had set up. They'd get all the shadow in and all the lighting right, and then he'd step in.
So did you get to know Stallone properly?
Yeah. So I was in his trailer with him and everything, and he came to watch a fight.
What's he like, mould, intimidating?
No, at first, right, he was a presence. He's like, he's there.
Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, he's fucking hell, wow, and everyone's
it's
like,
the one.
Here he is. But because I was dead animated and dead like
He took shine to you.
Yeah, I was just dead like a kid and fucking, like a big kid and that, because I still hadn't matured. I was still like that. And he was going, fucking hell, we need subtitles with this fella. You know what I mean? He was only what he's saying. And I was working with him for a few months, enjoyed it, met a lot of people on set, all mostly from America. And I enjoyed that experience. And then that ended. It came to fruition. They all went back. I went back to boxing in the ring. I'd lost the job as a teacher because obviously I couldn't really teach. You know, I
You
thought I could,
were two scouts?
Yeah, two scouts. Now and then. That's what they were coming in. Going, now and then, what's happening, lad? She said, but what kind of language is this? Well, you know, you can understand me. They'll understand everyone.
Yeah.
Anyone, anywhere in the world. You know, we can't fucking speak like that. They sound little fucking like little Harry Enfields. So that just started fighting a little bit more. Then, you know, wasn't earning much. And then I met this girl who couldn't speak a word of English, and the relationship was based on a dictionary. You know, I fell in love with a Thai girl. You know, the biggest mistake you could fucking make.
When you say Thai girl, was she a go-go girl?
No, she was like...
Legit?
She was legit. She was a beautician. I thought, what the hell is going on here? Very polite. So I kind of quickly fell in love. And for me, you know, I didn't deal with, like, relationships.
The vulnerability.
Yeah, like, you know, like I said, you could punch me head in all day long. I could take the pain and then feelings were okay. But then, like, the emotional, like, upheaval and the vulnerability was I was comfortable with anger.
Yeah.
There's a thin line between anger and vulnerability. I'd rather show you I was angry, but I couldn't show this girl I was angry because it's not very attractive. You know, it's very intimidating. It's
when you're in love, you feel wide open.
Yeah, I was wide open. I was roaring. The worst thing about it, like, she couldn't speak English. And I found out, like, she was going away at the weekends and turning her phone off. I was like, why is she doing that? So I'm fucking turning into a stalker now, very suspicious, paranoid. Is she with someone else? In the end, I did find out that she was with someone else. And it broke my heart. I'm not going to lie. I was in bits. I was like, fucking hell, I'm trying to tell her how I felt. I'm reading the 60. And she's just looking at me like I'm mad. I'm trying to explain how I feel, yeah. Fucking hell, she went, I love you, same him. I was like, what? I said, where I come from, girl, it's me and you, not me, you and him. That's not a relationship. You know, I don't know what it's like over here. And she was like, just confused, couldn't understand why I couldn't accept it. Which obviously you don't. And she just, you know, she left and, you know, I was left there fucking broken-hearted, sobbing. And the answer to that for me was to go and pick up, because I was in so much pain, mentally, emotionally.
You opted for the self-destruct
yeah,
button.
A couple of years clean, by the way.
Fuck.
But round a bend. But then I'm sat at this bar and I'm looking at this. You know, my go-to drink was brandy. I don't know why, but it was easier to drink, brandy and Coke. But he didn't have any. It was whiskey. And I thought, fuck, I'll give us a whiskey. And I remember looking at it and just watching the ice melt, but staring at it for ages, knowing exactly what that would do to me, right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm talking like there was a fight going on, and obviously you lost, but it was there was the fuck it's kicking in. I could hear it. Just fuck it, you'll be okay. Just this once. And it was like someone else was talking to me, but in my own voice. Don't go ahead, just have it, go ahead, lad, you'll be all right. And I remember just necking it. And the relief I felt, it was like someone had just fucking turned off a kettle, because the steam in my head was just like, shh. Everything went silent. You know, I could feel it burning down me, you know, just going right into me gully. I was like,
Pain's gone.
Yeah, it was like, wow. And then I picked up the phone to some lad from England who knew I'd relapsed. And I said, like, can you get me any Charlie or anything? You know, I didn't want to go to the gear. The progression was quite slow initially. I was kind of like, I'm going to be manageable about this. I'm not going to become a heroin addict again. I'll just have a drink, maybe a little bit of cocaine, be a bit sociable.
You're going to keep it conservative.
Yeah, see if I can manage that. And he's went, I'll come and meet you. So he turns up on this little scooter. I've had a little higher scooter. And we're just going down to this soy in Chiang Mai. And this lady boy standing there. We pull over, but can you get us any coke? She went, oh, yeah, what the fuck's that? So she jumped on the back of his bike, and I followed him to this, in the middle of nowhere, by the way, right? There's this apartment. We've gone in, upstairs, there's like 6 Thais sat on the floor. They're all playing cards. No one looked at us. It was very intimidating. There was smoke in the room. And she said, sit on that bed. So we both sat on this bed like that. We're getting robbed here. We'd give her the money. She come back with these red tablets with WI on them. And I went, what's this? It's fucking like ecstasy or something. You know, what's he have it? So she said, explained how we smoke it, put it on the foil.
And what is yabba?
Methamphetamine, right. So in tablet form, you've got like ice, crystal meth and that. This is like, it's fucking made out of everything, this, to be fair. Battery acid, a lot. So we had this on a little bit of, like, it was a chewing gum foil, and they made a little bit of a pipe, And I'm thinking, what the fuck? So she's burnt it because she's obviously gone, well, the lady boy's obviously gone first. And it's turned into oil. Not like heroin. Exactly the same. Little brown, little beetle, but it wouldn't run. It was just bubbling. It was like a little, and the smoke was coming off it. And she was inhaling it.
Smoke it with a foil?
Smoke it like a tube with the foil. Like that. Burning it. And then, yeah, you all go. I was like, come on, give us a fucking go. Done the same. And she'd hold it in and then let it out. And I swear, once I was holding it, I let it out, this feeling just exploded in my head. And it was like, the euphoria. The wow. You know what I mean? It was just, I like a bit of this. But it was quite mad for me because, like, even though I was still in feelings over this girl and I was using on top of it, I was trying to type in Thai. On a phone that a Thai keyboard to this girl and explain. And I was there for fucking hours, but like, because I was taking this drug, it didn't fucking matter. But it didn't, we needed to come down. And, you know, for me, it was like, when I say like the progression was slow, the minute I took that, like you said, it comes hand in hand with gear. So we jumped on these bikes. I flew to Burma. It must have been about 4 in the morning, both of us. You know what I mean? Little 125s. All the way to the Myanmar.
So the yabba's got you clucking for smack straight away?
No, that's not got us clucking. It's just, we're not clucking, we're just, fucking hell, everything now. Let's go for it. We've gone,
all in.
Yeah, we've gone this is it. This is why I've named my channel The All or Nothing, because I'm all or nothing. So I've gone with him to Burma. It's like, Myanmar. Gone through the border. Because you can go through for the day. You couldn't stay there any longer than a day, to be honest. But you can get the heroin, the China White, on the other side. It was quite cheap. That's where you got it from. And it came in like little white vials with an orange cap. We got it, and it was like, lad, who's taking this over? Who's taking this back across the border? You know what I mean? I went, fucking, we'll have to flip for it. You know what I mean? And he lost. We went back through the border. And because it was so pure, this heroin, you couldn't really smoke it. You know what I mean? You'd have to snort it.
That's how you OD on it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I smoked it first, and it was like just burning up, it was going black, and smoke was like not going in any direction, but everywhere. You're like, ooh, you're trying to fucking get it. A little bit of it, you've got it in your lungs, and immediately you're spewing up, and you feel it's fucking powerful, you know what I mean? And that was it. I was hooked on everything again.
Back in the hamster wheel.
Yeah, but like taking addiction to a different level, to an extreme in Thailand.
So that was when the addiction was at its worst.
Yeah.
Thailand. Was that because it's easily accessible? You feel like you're away from it all?
It was cheap. Easy accessible. There was no shame in a sense, because in the UK, you know, you're avoiding people who you know.
Yeah.
There, it was just, you just didn't care.
Doing it on the beach?
No, it was just like, I mean, it wasn't done in public, but you could go about your day without having to bump into someone that you knew.
Right.
And especially trying to communicate with them as well.
Yeah.
Ah, you Bill, you're all right, because no one can fucking speak English. And it was like, it's that saying, isn't it? Ignorance is bliss. So do you think you're just a fucking mad farang? You know, I could accept that.
You're the only person I've ever met that's lived to tell the tale after using yabba.
Yeah. You were telling me about your friend.
I said to you off camera, yeah, when I got offered very briefly, I'll mention this because people that are familiar with Thailand will remember maybe 20 odd years ago, there were boiler rooms set up. A lot of Aussies, a lot of Kiwis, a lot of Brits, a lot of ex-military would set up these boiler rooms and they'd sell moody investments, and then they'd move office 3 months later before they got raided. And so I was sold this dream. So I've gone over to Thailand and I've gone, oh, you know, what's the score? What's the deal? And they've told me what they're doing. I'm not going to start selling moody investments. I'm not going to steal off fucking elderly people. So I was out. It was sold completely different. And when I had a steward's inquiry and sort of dug right into the nuts and bolts of what the business fucking was, it was a scam. I said, yeah, I'm not robbing people. But the guy that told me about it wasn't on the yabba.
Yeah.
When I went back a year later to meet another mate of mine who was a mutual friend, he'd been on the yabba for about 9 months. He looked like the Walking Dead. Within 12 months after that, he was dead. So I've always thought, fucking, what is yabba? Because it kills people quick. Yeah,
it's a very, very addictive drug. Mass-produced, very cheap. So you can get as much as you wanted if you had a few quid. You could smoke it all day long. But it does, for me, it was like, I went from like a 14 stone kid to like, I was that skinny in the end, I could hang glide off a fucking Dorito.
That was this guy.
Yeah.
He was unrecognisable. Literally, he looked like a stick insect corpse, like The Walking Dead.
The paranoia with it as well was it's unbelievable. You know, it's like didn't want to answer the door. You could see eyes underneath it. You know, in the end, you know, I developed this habit on the habit, and not so much the shine away because you did have to travel to Birmingham, which was a good few kilometres away to buy that. So I was quite happy just using that.
Yeah.
At the time, I wasn't a big drinker. I'm not into alcohol. You know. So that was enough.
And is that you got banged up being caught with it?
I felt like I was invincible and I was invisible at the same time because you could the police over there are so corrupt that when you get pulled up without a crash helmet on your bike, you know, they're always like putting a little board there and, you know, you give them 200 baht and they're happy and then you move on. So, you know, if you get pulled up and you've got something on you, you know, sometimes if you've got the money, you give it them, you know. But I kind of went a bit too far over there. I started to sell drugs for these ties. You know, they would give me yabba tablets. Not like fucking Colombian cartel kind of access, just like a few hundred tablets here. And I was moving around a lot of Europeans and people in these nightclubs, in Spicy nightclub in Chiang Mai, and just selling them to non-Thais. And that's how I was like funding my habit, because I was paying that, getting this, but I was my own best customer.
Yeah.
And I was using more than fucking, you know, that I'd sell. So I was always in debt, but I'd always blend it, zigzagging away, you know. And I was in my room one morning. I'd had an argument with this guy, Noi, that I'd boxed with, because he wanted a bit of strap off me, a bit of tick, and I wouldn't give him it. You know, the Thais didn't really ask me, but when I did, they're usually all right, but they never fucking pay you. So I wouldn't give him it. And he took a resentment towards me. And he had a pair of pumps in his tuk-tuk, because he was a tuk-tuk fucking taxi driver by day, but, you know, he fucking show fight overnight. And he's rang me up out the blue, and I've got like loads of this Thai stick weed, by the way, in the room. I've got a couple of 100 tablets in these straw packets in the room on the side. I've got a room full of weapons, but no enemies. Stun gun. I've got a Colt 45 that I bought for 10,000 baht. Every man and his dog's got a gun over there, you know. Never fucking used it, by the way. It was just there. I was like excited. I had a bit of and he rang me up, and he went, "Billy, where are you?" And I went, I was half asleep, still had cornflakes in my eyes. I went, I'm in my room, why? He went, "I've got your shoes in me taxi." So he said, "I'll bring them round, tell me where you are." So I did. And then as I put the phone down, I was like fucking coming awake. I was thinking, why did he do that? Why is he willing to come round? Why did he even ring me? That's very unusual. Something was like not right. So I went to the door, and I said, you know, as you open the door, I'm on the top floor. I've looked down and I've seen these, you know, they were fucking armed police, but they weren't like, they were undercover, just fucking running up, shirts, t-shirts. They weren't fucking dressed like police. I knew straight away who they were. And they were running up the stairs. I fucking shut the door, I shit myself. I thought, you're messing. Started grabbing these drugs, plugging everything, sticking it up my ass. Sat with me back against the door. Like that, what the fuck? Bam, 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 bam. William. I was, who's it? He went, police. I went, no, it's not. I knew it was. I went, froze your ID card. I don't know why it was stolen. There was nothing else I could do. You know, I've all these weapons everywhere. Thrown darts and everything, you know what I mean? So this card's come in. I didn't even look at it. I just knew it. Pushed it back. And I've opened the door. They've rushed in. They've fucking manhandled me to the ground. Fucking tied me up. Fucking cuffed me up and give me a few little beatings and that. And got all these weapons. Couldn't find any drugs. Took me downstairs, cuffed up. The shame I was felt, because I got used to, like, you know, the concierge downstairs. He's always let on.
He still thought he was an English teacher.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, I was like walking down, like that, cuffed behind me back, got in. And before that, by the way, Liam, right, I went to Laos. I've got to share this, right? I went to Laos to buy fucking different yabba tablets. It's cheaper over there. I bought 1,000 over there at one time. and I hired this Honda Wave as soon as I got into Laos, VNTN. And I was going to this nightclub, the only nightclub that they've got in Laos, by the way. And it didn't open until midnight. And as I was like on this bike, these girls were whistling, and I went, hey, just looked fucking terminally hip and fatally cool, led onto them. But as I said, these two taxis are racing towards me, and the both of them have hit me. Right, I've went in the air, the bike's went in the air, I've landed on the floor. The bike, like it's a Honda Wave 50, has landed right on my chest. The handlebar's going right through my stomach. It's punctured me lung, broke me ribs. I'm in a bad way by the time. I've got 1,000 𝐬𝐝 tablets, which is a life sentence in my pocket. I couldn't breathe. These Laotian fucking locals were trying to pick me up. It was a bad accident, really bad. Blood was everywhere. This Irish guy come running over going, leave him alone, you can't move him. There was no ambulance available, so he threw me in this wheelbarrow. And he fucking ran with me to this hospital, which was a third world dump. I got put on this mattress on the floor, right? Couldn't breathe, I was like this. Literally like, I'm gonna fucking die. And all I was thinking about was the drugs in my pocket.
Mm.
Hope you don't find them, hope you don't find the drugs. Trying to breathe. And I heard him saying, the Irish fella, didn't know who he was. This fella, he went, he's going to be okay. He said, I don't think so. I think you're going to die. I was like, what the fuck, hell? This is what's going on? Next thing, I've moved. He pushed me to his side to put this cover over there, this big hole in my stomach. And it must have shifted the rib. A big gust of air went into my lung. I said, get me fucking out of here, mate. He went, fucking hell, I thought you were a Russian. No, you got that Russian look. Mate, I don't fucking get me out of here. And these two busies, soldiers, big fucking Russian caps, there, like they were big AK-47s with banana clips, walked in, looked at me, took a photograph of me, these two soldiers, while I'm lying on the floor. I thought, I've been grassed off there, I'm going to get nicked. All these mad things were going through my head. And then he just walked off, never seen him again, never knew why they even took that fucking photograph. And then got off. I mean, get me out of here. He took me to his apartment. And kind of, all I was doing in his apartment was smoking 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭 in the toilet. Just wanted more drugs. Got put on a bus the next day. I was black and blue by this time. And I went to this hospital in Chiang Mai, and I stayed there for 3 months. Didn't have a penny. At the end of the 12 weeks, they wanted the payment. I just fucking jumped out the window, you know what I mean? And then I got nicked. A week, that's when I got nicked, and they come in my room a week later. So I've had all these fucking mad things. I was wild with it all.
Well, so is there more than one charge?
I got nicked for handling a stolen mobile phone. That was the charge. Right? I'd love to sell people. It was, I'd been smuggling fucking kilos, and, I was some crazy cartel gangster. But I got nicked for handling, in the end, a stolen mobile phone.
So they raided you for a stolen mobile phone?
No, they raided me, right, because they were aware that I was selling drugs. Right? But they couldn't pin anything on me because, most these guys, they're not going to stick anything up the back passage. You know what I mean? But I will.
Did they not make you squat and cough when you got to the Erbil station?
No, in the prison.
Yeah.
This is how fucking crazy it was. I had a pair of Speedos on, right? And they had it in the Speedos, right? I put the weed because there was about fucking just under an ounce in quarter ounces, right? So they're down there, the tablets up my back passage, right? I put these Speedos on, and this fucking mad leather waist. You know, your waistcoat, but a leather one with a big eagle on the back. I don't know where the fuck I got it.
A leather eagle gilet.
Yeah, with loads of tassels on it. I must have put it on in a fucking shop and just walked off while I was off my cake. So I've got this fucking leathery and a pair of Speedos, and the fucking hell, I'm sitting in this cell now with these two other ties, and but before they took me to the cell, I've asked them to take me to the chemist. Right, this is straight up, right? So they took me to this chemist. I bought 3 bottles of methadone, right? Some 𝐼𝐸𝐴𝐺 and fucking mogadone, 𝐼𝐸𝐴𝐺 and everything. Bought all these tablets and diazes.
You can get all that over the counter there, can't you?
Yeah, but there's this clinic that sold, for addicts. So I knew where to go, and I had a few $1,000 on me. So they took me. I was going on, throwing a bevy on the side. We're okay. So they told me, got loads of big brown bag full of drugs. They put me in the cell, right? The next thing, an arm comes through the cell, the cage with this fucking brown bag. So talking about fucking, no one's ever fucking give me a bag of drugs in a prison, you know what I mean? So I started to fucking take the tablets, drank a bit of med, thinking they were going to take it back off me. There was mad urgency to take all these drugs before I went to prison. And got these fucking yabba tablets out, right? Saying to these guys, have you got any foil? Yeah, we managed to get a bit of foil, a lighter, but all ready. Then they called me for my fingerprints. Had my fingerprints, went back to Shell. By this time, these fucking tablets and the meth had kicked in, so I was fucked. I just knocked right out, and I slept for about 10 hours. Woke up, no tablets left. These two tires were sat there. One had me fucking leather fucking eagle jacket on, like meerkats, like that, fucking wired. I was like, where's the fucking tablets gone? I was made up they never took the meth. I was more concerned about that, to be fair. I never go, there's only fucking smoked every one of them. But yeah, so I'm in that cell, and then I've gone to court, charged with fucking handling a stolen mobile phone. I thought, I'll be sound, yeah. I'll be out, you know what I mean, in no time. 3 years, they give me.
How many?
3.
Give you 3 years.
Yeah.
And wasn't your first night in jail accompanied by a dead person?
Yeah, so straight away, you're getting shackled, right? So you got chains on your ankles. I think they weigh about 3 kilos. I can't really give you the precise weight, but there's just constant clinking, you know what I mean? So you goes into the prison after squat, right, 10 times. This kid's got a phone up his ass, a little thing, boom. It's like not even a little one. It's like one of them fucking, you know what they are, the ones that, like, what do they call them? The flip ones.
Yeah.
He's being caught with that, so they were all focused on him.
Yeah.
And we're all squatting. And I thought, no one's coming out here, you know what I mean? But I was pretty sure it wanted to fucking make a kind of, it wanted to reveal itself, you know what I mean? But I kept it in. And then I've been put in this cell. I'm just like, by this time now, I'm exhausted. I've been in these police stations, in these courts, and then in this compound all day. And it's like 10 o'clock at night now. You know, they're marching us all to these rooms. And there was 80 people in this first cell that put me in. And they went, yo, just telling you where to go. There was a space in the corner next to this lady boy called Tiffany with a big pair of tits and massive they were. And this top that said, no money, no honey, like a boob tube, right? And a pair of denim shorts with a big crazy bulge. Oh, what the fucking hell's going on? And then there was this fucking fella with a blanket over him, a bit overweight, bloated. And I went, what's going on? He went, oh, no problem, he died. We moved Monday. And this is fucking Friday. Thai holiday, no problem. He okay. Old man, he died. Just like fucking nonchalant in their ass, you know what I mean? So I went, I've got to sleep in between you two. And I just sat there all night thinking, fucking hell, this is fucking mad, this. While this lady boy was talking to me in pidgin English with this little top on, saying, I like your blue eye. And I felt flattered immediately. And I was thinking, he was like the fucking brown one as well, you know what I mean? Fucking, oh mate, you know what I mean? A little bit of fear kicking in here.
So how close to you was this dead body?
I was like next to each other. I'm literally like, it's like sardines. Like, you know, anyone who's been to a Thai prison, he'll tell you straight. You know, there was like 80 people in 3 rows. So, say this is this table. So there's there, and there. So you've got legs on your shoulder, like your legs are on their fucking shoulders. They're on yours. This body is right, like it's here. You know what I mean? That's after a couple of days, it's just become fucking normal, you know. And then you get conditioned to your environment and you adapt pretty quick. To a point, right, they'd hide these little fucking porno mags through the day, these ties, but they'd all have a go at it. And you got to remember, you're in a cell with no fucking toilets. Just 2 holes in the ground either side. And what they do is they throw a blanket on, you got to put your name on a list, and all they do is just knock them on out all day.
In front of each other?
Yeah, just fucking madness. You know, you'd wake up and there's someone be dead in the cell, you know, because they fucking hung themselves. They've got to have a 24-hour watch. So what they'd have is someone every hour on the hour watching everyone else in the cell.
And were there lady boys in jail?
Yeah, but I mean, there was 3 that had had the full up in Chiang Mai, but they were in a compound.
And were they vicious?
The lady boys.
Yeah, because I remember when I was in, I can't remember what part of Thailand it was. Could have been Koh Samui, could have been Pattaya, could have been Phuket. But I remember that the lady boys would go out mob-handed, and I see them dish out a fucking serious kicking to one person one night, like a serious kicking. And I thought, cool, fucking hell, but they're men.
Yeah, well, I did back down from one once because I thought, you know what, if he knocks fuck out of me, there's no way I'm going to live the fact that I got bit up by a fella with tits. So I kind of just had to kind of bite my tongue and swallow my pride, you know what I mean? For the fucking over-tramadol tablets, because, like I said, like for me being an addict, you know, I wanted to escape, you know, the best way I could, and then I found that you could get tramadol off the doctors, and then the ladyboys were getting them, and they were selling them. So I always found myself getting in debt with everyone.
And you must have been asked 100 times if you ever fucked a ladyboy.
I've never. No.
Whilst you was in there, or even out.
No, I never even got a fucking wank off one or a suck.
Well, here's a and I asked Kev Lane this question as well, because he's a lifer.
Yeah.
Now, I've been celibate now for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to feel the need for intimacy. My problem is I'm a fussy fucker and I can't just have anybody touch me. So that's my conundrum. But so I'm thinking for someone that spends such a long time in jail, we need intimacy.
Yeah.
We need to touch each other. So how does someone go such a long stint of time without intimacy? Or do you see a lot of people buckle in jail and think, you know what, it's just a cuddle? I'm not insinuating that was you, but do you know what I mean? Going a long time without intimacy is not good for your mental health or your equilibrium or as a human being.
I think, to be fair, it'll be different in prisons in the UK. Everyone's a bit macho. But over there, with it being a fair gender, it was quite, you're quite aware that there's a lot of HIV as well, you know, so that's going to be off-putting.
Yeah, that's true enough.
The intimacy, you didn't want to get too close to anyone, you know, because of, you know, blood-on-blood-borne viruses, you know. So, no, I never, I felt quite fucking frightened because I was very homophobic. You know, I've got an uncle, right? He's passed away now, and he was gay, but he was a man. Like, he was in the parish. He was not feminine whatsoever. And I was going on my dad sent me away, like, to my uncle's. He lived in Bournemouth, and it was my mum's brother Freddie. The day I was going with our Freddie, because I was excited to go with him. I don't mind going on little trips. My dad went, "It's a fruit him, you know." I went, "What?" So in my head now, I'm fucking like, to share this little apartment, little room in Bournemouth in Boscombe with my uncle, thinking, fucking hell, he's gay. What if he wants to sleep with me? He never did. But it fucking frightened the life out of me, you know what I mean? And he said one night, "Oh, it's fucking freezing in here. I wouldn't mind jumping in that sleeping bag with you." And I was like, "Whoa, it was horrible, the feeling," you know what I mean? So it took a while for me to sort of...
even open up to someone.
Yeah, and I tell you what happened. I had a fight with these three foreigners over two other foreigners. There was this...
When you say foreigners, you mean like Brits or
yeah,
Aussies?
No. So there was these two Aussies and this Iranian kid, Ali, Daniel, and this Jason, and these American, Aldo and John. But they were trouble causers, these two fellas, you know what I mean? They're always like talking about other people. So it come on top of them, and it was my like first like week in this foreign section compound where there was like 5 of us to a cell, and you were quite like, relief from the introduction where you're in that induction cell with 80. So they moved you into a foreign cell, which was, you know, was quite easier. The cells were a lot smaller, and I kind of stood up for these two fellas, defending them, which I shouldn't have at the time. But, you know, I'm a rebel without a cause. I'll fucking fight other people's battles. And, you know, I was going, "Oh, leave it out, will you, lads?" And then they were kicking off through the vents, and I woke up in the morning, it went off. And, you know, I ended up fighting with these 3 fellas all together. Got a fucking good hiding, but I give as good as I got. And with that, I ended up, because I was fucked up, they put me in the compound, like, segregated away from everyone else. So I'm in the compound, like I said, with these 3 ladyboys. And when I woke up, because I was all caked in blood, and this ladyboy was dabbing me, fucking face with this cotton ball plug, getting all the blood off. And he said, "You okay?" I was like, sounded like Minnie Mouse on fucking, on helium. "You okay?" Like that. I was like, fucking hell. I looked up and she fucking looked gorgeous. Until like I realised it was a man. But then I got like talking to them, because I was in there for like about a month. I had to kind of stay there. And I found that like, I don't know, I found it was like, they were really very caring and very understanding, you know, and no different from anyone else, that they were just more feminine. You know what I mean? They wanted to be women, but unfortunately they were men in a men's prison, you know, and there was no, although in the movie there was a scene, now if you look online, it'll say facts and truth. The director, John Stefani, he wanted to kind of, because in the book I was talking about sort of the relationship that I developed in a friendship way with this ladyboy called John. He was very supportive and very helpful and kind. Showed me a bit of humanness in a place where it was quite dark. And she stunk of fucking Chanel. And he wanted to portray it as like an intimate relationship.
But it wasn't the case.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Okay.
that was for drama, you know. And when he said it, I went, you know what, fair play, I'll accept that. You know what I mean?
And were you forced to watch men rape other men?
Yes.
That happened?
Yeah.
Because there was a gang of men raping one guy, and you were forced...
This was in Bangkok, so I've moved from Chiang Mai at one point to, you know, I spent a year in Chiang Mai prison where there was only 4,000 inmates. And you say only 4,000, that's fucking massive, there's a lot. You know, the biggest prison in Europe was HMP Liverpool, and I held 1,500 inmates. So, you know, you think about this prison, 4,000, there's a lot. But when you go to Klong Prem, you know, you've got over 18,000 inmates in there. Bombat prison, you've got the women's prison, you've got the hospital, you've got Lad Yao. So there's a massive compound complex.
And Bangkok prison that you got moved to, that is one of the most dangerous prisons in the world.
Yeah. It's the most, but it's so you've got 1,000 inmates on each unit with 2 prison officers. You know, and I'll be straight. I've witnessed murder there, you know, rapes, a lot of, I was subjected to a lot of violence myself. You know, I was in debt because, again, I couldn't face reality.
Can we cover those 3 things?
Go on then.
Because I know there's a particular murder that you witnessed that was chilling.
Yeah.
Because you described it as a very calm...
Collective,
just plunging the knife in his organs, all neck shots, all killer blows.
They're all death shots, yeah.
And what was that all about?
See, there was this guy, and he was quite, he was different from the other sides. He used to have this bandana, and the southern side and the northern side, and then you got the central side. So you got north side, which is Chiang Mai, south side, which is closest to Malaysia, and then you got the central, which is the Bangkok area. So the southern sides were like, they were Muslims, most of them. Yeah, with the northern side and the central were Buddhists, because it's a very religious country. Everyone's fucking praying in the morning, they're praying at night. You got, you know, the call to prayer by the Muslims morning, noon, and night. It's so there's a lot of people at each other's throats, and this guy, for whatever reason, I think it was over a mobile phone, is fucking took advantage of this other side, and it's come on top of him. And all I remember was standing in the library. And I want to say a library, it's not like a unit, it's like outdoors, you know what I mean? Just a fucking little hut with no door on it, with loads of books here. And there's a pathway there. And I've heard this commotion, and he's running. And all you can hear is these flip-flops. Just running. They're slapping against the floor. But, like, not at speed. And he was catching up. He had this fucking enormous blaze on him. This kid next to me in the library, remember them, the school chairs, the metal ones with the wooden seats?
Yes.
So he's come running out with one of them and just caught this kid with the bandana, smacked him right in the face. He's hit the floor. That's it. He's in a vulnerable position. He's got this knife and he's just stabbing him. And I'm watching it, and it's like it's slow motion. It was very surreal, you know, and I could see it going in places. You think, fucking, this is in his neck. This is in his chest, this is in his body. He's just getting him everywhere. And it's not like in a frenzy. It's not like doing that. It's just shot. And then he's looking for another opening, bang. And it's like, just, you're dead. And I couldn't imagine, right, at that time, there was, I don't know how many blows, there was a lot. And there was a crowd, about 50 people, that are surrounded. And all I can remember them saying was, calm on. And I didn't understand what that meant until later. It meant kill him. That was it. Calm on. They were all screaming, like chanting, kill him.
So they all wanted this guy dead over a phone.
Over something. I didn't really get the backstory of what went on, but I heard there was a phone, and you know, you can only take people's word for what was going on. Couldn't kind of, the communication was a bit poor, and I was lacking in that.
And what about the rape? Why did the geezer get raped, and why were you forced to watch him get raped?
It was more of a dominant kind of experience, because I was in the same cell, you know, and in other words, you know, if you open your mouth, this is what's going to happen. That
was your warning?
Yeah. And I've been, like, threatened with HIV, you know, improvised syringes made, you know, there were pens with fucking pins at the end, full of blood, you know, and I've had that put in my neck. You know, and I knew that this gang of samurais that were all MCK'd and tattooed, I mean, literally from here. Never really on the face, just from here.
Yeah.
Right the way down, right? Tattoos, here, just skin and bone. They were getting, you know, you knew they had HIV because everyone said that, you know, that little crowd over there, they're all injecting each other with the same needle now every fucking day. You know, they were feared because of the blood-borne virus and the fact that they didn't give a fuck. And I was in debt to this one, to that one. I owed money everywhere to a point where I had to fucking cover my bills somehow, or I was going to end up dead. And it wasn't like I was going to end up dead quick. It was like a slow death sentence, which was more of a fear.
Right.
You know, imagine, you know, you've got to kind of suffer. I'd rather go quick than to suffer slow for a long time.
I mean, you was on the receiving end of some violence as well.
Yeah, I was forever, you know, getting involved. To a point where they were calling me, they were saying, you know, you were a crazy foreigner for bar, and I was like, okay, I'll have that.
Did you ever think you might end up killing someone?
No.
What about did you ever think about killing yourself?
Plenty of times, yeah.
In there?
Yeah, and it was against the rules. Because every morning there was a tannoy and he gave out 10 commandments. And one of them was like, you can't commit suicide. And I remember being in the cell.
Thou shalt not kill myself.
Yeah, right. And I remember being in the cell. I couldn't understand what it was. I couldn't translate it myself. And I remember saying to this guy, sell me your laces. Because I had sliders on. And then he went by. I went, so what a fucking end it, mate. I've had enough. And he went to can't. You know, and in his best English, he said, the cell would suffer and we'd get punished as a cell, as a whole.
Oh, if they allowed you to kill yourself, they'd all be in trouble.
Yeah, so that's what happened. So
what were the other commandments?
Oh, stealing, fucking, it was fucking basically, you don't know stealing. No sex was one of them, I know that. I couldn't recall everyone, but...
It's like no one took notice of the commandments, though.
No. There was a ritual every morning and every evening, right? So you'd have to stand, right, in the prison courtyard while he raised the flag, the Thai national flag, while I was singing the Thai national anthem. Even as a foreigner, you'd have to stand there and you'd have to join in. I could fucking play his own my head all the time. And they'd all stand there like that and they'd be singing along. And it was every morning, 8 a.m. And then 8 a.m. every evening, they'd sing another Thai national anthem before they went to fucking sleep. Because they'd have to, at 8 o'clock, after that national anthem was finished, it was silence. You couldn't say nothing. You couldn't even speak in the cell. Right? So, bang, no one, it was nip, right? Not a word. So the whole prison just went silent, you know, and it was, that was just the way it was every day.
That's a mental 3 years. And didn't you turn your hand or dabble in Islam as well?
So what happened was, right, I was, there was a guy, and a lovely fella called 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭. Now, I was in that much debt and I was fucking starving and I couldn't fucking pay these bills and, you know, I was fucking hiding from everywhere. And there was this Christian lady called Catherine who used to come up and see us all the time and she'd buy us food and cigarettes, you know. We'd get prisoners abroad would send us protein tablets in and 2,000 baht would go into your account every month from a charity called Prisoners Abroad, which I'm really grateful for. And I remember saying to Catherine, look, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm in a bad way here. Right, I'd had enough by this time, Liam. I'd had enough. I fucking couldn't. I'd seen this kid getting murdered. I'd watching these people getting raped. I kept getting ties coming over to me doing that. And I thought, people were saying, you're going to be next, you know, lad. You don't sort your head out, you're going to get it, you know. I thought, fucking, I need to pay these bills. It wasn't much. It was about, I'd say about 8,000 baht. But to me, it was out of reach. You know what I mean? And I spoke to Catherine on a visit and explained what had happened. She said, look, we'll pay this bill for you, right? But you cannot, right, do this again, right? And I was like, please. So they've paid this bill, right? That's left me with no repercussions now. But what I also was left with no fucking money, right? I'm not going to borrow off anyone. I can't. I'm eating prison food, which is like chicken feet, and it stinks. Chicken feet with sticky rice, and it fucking smells. Literally, you've got to do that, you know, to get it down because it was sickening. And I couldn't face it. And I remember walking around the prison as I do every day, you know, just doing laps. It was a big, massive complex. And these Muslims were sat there and they're all fucking eating this fucking glorious food. And I kept looking, as you do, fucking hell, they're fucking eating better than me, these twats. And one of them went, would you like to join us? And I went, fucking right, well. So sat down and he said, do you want to pray with us? And I went, yeah, because fucking hell, I'm fucking Christian. Like, I'm a Catholic and I don't know to pray. I'm like that. And he went, oh no, we pray like this. I said, well, I'll pray like this, mate. Come on, what are we doing here? So they fed me and I said, I'll come back tomorrow. And he went, it's only for the Muslim brothers. We just invited you today because we've been seeing you, and it's not really something that we do all the time. I said, okay. The next day, I got a fucking sarong, a skull cap. I sat down and I said, my name's 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞, right? That's it, my name's... And he didn't bat an eyelid, right? So, but the fucking crafty fuckers, they fed me, then he went, look, you got to go pray with us now. So, next thing, they threw the Quran at me, so I've got to learn, but it was in English, so I'm learning this Quran. Then he said, you got to do a shahada. So I said, what the fuck's a shahada? He goes, I should do Allah, Allah, I should do Allah. So, fucking hell. This is going back years ago, by the way.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to keep the engine room alive, right? Got all of, like, the English fucking foreigners going, you fucking hell, what are you doing with all the midget Muslims over there? Because they were all the tallest, they were all tiny. So they've got me skull cap on now, I've got my sarong, and I'm going for it. And I'm fucking standing in this.
Did you grow the beard?
No, fucking hell.
Got to draw the line somewhere.
Couldn't even grow a muzzy. They were all cutting foreskins off and everything. People who, they didn't call them converts, they called them reverts.
Yeah.
Right, so they were saying, right, Bill, you've reverted. And they were sad, don't get me wrong, and I was asking questions, what about you blowing up this and blowing up that? And they were going, oh, so, see, there's fundamentalist, Bill, and there's extremist. He said, right, see these over there, they're extremists. Right, he said, Islam is peace. Right, when I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, alhamdulillah, that means peace be upon you, and also it means that no harm will come to you. I went, okay, yeah, that's kind of interesting. These are feeding me. It kind of reminded me of like being safe in a group and unified, and everything was haram, and you couldn't take drugs, and you this. Well, I don't want to take drugs, I don't mind a bit of food. But then they moved me into a cell with them, and I think it was about 6 months. They were waking me up at early hours in the morning. You had to go to Fajr and they'd take you to Juma. So I'd meet other people, and I met this guy from Australia, Mitch. He was doing life. He'd converted to Islam as well. There was a drama on TV about him. I'll send you the link. I don't think he's involved in it no more. He's out now, he's released. He's fucking living in Australia, he's doing well. But yeah, I kind of like dabbled in that, but you've got to understand, I went from Buddhism to, I tried every religion under the sun in this prison, by the way, right? And I'll tell you why, because there's something in our cards where we sought help through medication, religion and psychiatry. So I was taking medication to come off the medication I was already on, or to change the fact that I was an addict. I was seeking religion for a bit of solace in everything I could find, you know what I mean? So whether it was Islam, whether it was Christianity, because you've got to remember, you had loads of Nigerians in there, right? So every Sunday they'd be banging drums and giving you 3 bars of soap, so I'd be a Christian on a Sunday, and then I'd be skipping into this Islam kind of circle on a Tuesday and a Wednesday for a bit of scranny, you know what I mean? I was kind of playing the field, just surviving, keeping the engine room alive, getting disciplined in this role. And I was keeping away from drugs, but I was getting fed and I was doing okay. And I felt safe. And then, like I said, they moved me into the cell and I was praying 5 times a day. They were kicking me up at 5 in the morning. Fucking, you got to do Allah. So I'll give that a little go and that. And that's why I named the book A Prayer Before Dawn. Because every morning before the sun rose, you're there prayers. Whether it was the Islamic call to prayer or it was the Buddhist chanting, there was prayers. And then the doors would open and you'd be unleashed into these gates of, it was like fucking hell. Everyone was surviving. There was like I said, there was 2 prison officers, and I seen this guy one morning come running out of this office, the commander's office, stabbing himself, right? Like proper going for it, blood everywhere. And I knew he was part of this samurai gang, and it was literally squirting, and everyone was panicking and staring. And it got to a stage, right, where for me, I became conditioned to it so much that I thought, while they're all doing that, I'll join the queue where the hot water is, because it'd gone down and I'll be getting my water quicker than anyone else. It got to that stage where it was just normal.
Completely desensitised.
And I was thinking, this is a fucking nice one. I can get more water quicker, blah, blah, blah. But yeah,
when you got released, was you released as a Buddhist or a Christian or a Muslim, or the day you was released, did you think, I'm back to Billy Moore again?
No, I'll tell you what happened, right? So
how did that feel, getting released? Because that's got to be the worst 3 years of anyone's life.
Yeah, it was a bit of a mad one, really, because Bangkok was on fire, right? There was a war. there was like the red party and the yellow party. They were going. So the fucking airport had gone up and everything. You could go back and have a little look online. They were setting fire to the whole fucking the whole of the city.
Right.
And there was a day for me to go out at this time, so we got put back, and I was like deflated, thinking, "Fucking hell, is this how it is?" But yeah, I got released from this cell where I was, which I was sharing with the Muslim guys, Pichet and that, and they were all Southern ties, you know, and they were really lovely people, very supportive, and they walked me to the gate, and you know, they weren't like putting pressure on me to do this or do anything. They were just, everything was just okay. And then, you know, we said our goodbyes, and you know, I remember getting taken to immigration, and these two Cockney screws turned up, right? It was fucking bit mad, like. And we get on the plane, British Airways, 12-hour flight, cuffed before you go on, taking off. No one's on the plane, they take them off. You sat at the back, screw there, screw there, but all right. And they're writing down here, going to give you all your details, you know, your food and what religion are you? And then as soon as they said to me, "Oh, fucking hell, Wandsworth fella, fucking Muslims, you're fucking cat, fucking gangs everywhere. What religion are you, sir?" I was like, "Fuck, not telling them anything like that, fuck that," know what I mean? So I just said I'm an atheist, I'm not, know what I mean? And I kind of knew.
Oh, so you got moved from Thailand to a British jail?
Oh yeah, so they
shipped you to Wandsworth?
Yeah, so 2 screws flew over from Wandsworth, because they had the repatriation, because of, I'd put in for it with the embassy, because I still had time to finish on my prison sentence in Bangkok, but I wanted to get back home now. I'd had enough now, you know. And I thought, fucking, it's the right time, and hopefully they'll go through the red tape a lot quicker. And he went, "Yeah, okay," and they got me back to the UK. So these 2 screws picked me up, flew me back. Mr. Moneypenny, I remember his name very well. And the minute I got on a plane, and I kind of knew that all I had to go behind me, you know. It was just, it was a way of surviving. It was keeping the engine room going, and I would have done anything to kind of
stay alive.
Yeah. So.
And was Wandsworth a walk in the park compared to Bangkok?
Yeah, it was, because when I've landed in Wandsworth, you've got to understand, I've got a complete culture shock now, being out of the country for 5 years. It wasn't a 3-month backpacking holiday, it turned into 5 years. You know, I've came back to the UK, I'm in this prison on A-Wing, and I'm just fucking baffled by it all. And kids at the servery kicking off, "Fucking chips, you fucking geld. Look at the size of that fucking chicken." I was thinking, you fucking ungrateful swats, you want to see what I've just been eating there? I've fucking been eating flip-flops and everything, it's fucking horrible. So yeah, I stayed in Wandsworth for 8 months before they released me, and ended up getting a job on the gym as a gym orderly.
Any violence in Wandsworth?
No.
No. I bet you was just sick of any kind of violence by then, weren't you?
I was clean, I was in recovery. You got to understand that. I got to a stage that I've kind of settled down now.
Training, eating well.
Yeah, training, eating well.
Were the screws interested in your story?
Yeah. You know, I was very subservient as well, because I was like, because it's a very like, yes sir, no sir country, Thailand, you know, you're kind of subservient. You can't stand above the screws. You got to bow to them, you know. It was all like, yeah.
And what the guards like in Thailand? Corrupt?
Yeah, very, very corrupt. You know, there's no there's anything about a pound out in them, you know.
So after you got released from Wandsworth, and that's it, you're a free man. What happened from there? Is that when you was approached for the film?
No. So what's happened is I've been writing and documenting what's been going on whilst I was away in prison. So I had all these bits of paper, smuggled it out into envelopes or letters that I'd had, because you couldn't really write about what was going on. You couldn't kind of evidence what you'd seen and witness. But I wanted the actual factual documentation. So it'd be day to day, writing like sort of a diary, little bullet points. And when I got to Wandsworth, one of the education staff came to see me, because I'd been writing this A4 piece of paper, and he went, "My God, you need to write more." I went, "What do you mean?" He went, "I've just read this little story," he said, and he said, I found myself in that cell with you. He said, the atmosphere, the fear, the anxiety, everything. He said, you need to continue. And I went, really? And I thought, is he stroking my ego? So Dave, his name is, big shout out. I started to continue writing, you know, until eventually I've written this book called A Prayer Before Dawn, and you know, that was the title I chose. Yeah, and fucking, when I've got out, it was hard work. I was getting knocked back by everyone. You know, sending it off, the manuscript and the synopsis to the publishers. No, yeah, you know, not for us, but try someone else. I wish you all the best. Kept putting them in envelopes and posting them and getting nowhere in the end. This guy from this guy from Thailand said they'll take it on board. Give me a £500 advance. Mate, it's all 500 quid. Wow. Here's a £500 advance. The book was only published in Southeast Asia at the time, and then I met this other guy from Ireland about a year later who wanted to buy the rights for the worldwide. Maverick House Publishing, so that went for that. He gave me an advance, still not as much as but it's similar price to that. And then I've got this book now, and then I took it to our producers. Well, I didn't take it. I'll tell you what happened. I was in Liverpool on Hope Street, and I walked into this building that said Hurricane Films, and I pressed this buzzer, and the woman said, "Can I help you?" I said, "I've got this book. Would you like to read it?" She said, "We'll speak to the manager." They said, "Can you come back next week?" So I came back next week, the week after, and then they said, "We're not in today. Can you come back again?" I said, "Look, do us a favour, just take this book." I said, "Nah, I'll leave you alone." So they took the book. I think they wanted to get rid of me because I just kept fucking there every other day in the end. Left me email and a phone number, and 3 months later I got a phone call. I was on a bus on the way home saying, "Oh my God, we've read this story. You know, could you come in? They want a meeting. It's quite exciting. Everyone's, you know, buzzing about this story that you've read. They want to make a movie." I was like, "What? Fucking movie?" I just thought like a little bit of exposure from some kind of, I don't know what I was expecting, but I went and sat down with them, and then they were talking about big actors and this and that, and like, big budgets. Fucking joking, aren't you? And that's what happened. We sat at this table. Next thing, you know, there's a director on board. There's an actor involved. You know, we're in Cannes on the red carpet with 2,000 people cheering and clapping and standing to this movie that's just finished in this big mad cinema. I'm stood there in a fucking tuxedo, like just thinking, is this surreal? Wow. And just amazed at the response I received after, because I had a big part to play in the script as well. And it was just exciting, you know.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, it was an 8-minute standing ovation. I remember speaking to the American guy, 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞, right, who put the money to the budget. He was sitting next to me. I had 𝐬𝐿 there, and then I had John Stefan Savard, the director, there. And after everyone's clapping, and I went to this 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞. I said, "Do you think they liked it?" He said, "Listen, we're in France." He said, the French, he said, "they boo you whether you were here or not."
You know
he
about
said
it.
He loved it. He said, "You're well done." And then there was interviews back to back all day, and there was a lot of positive responses in the variety magazines and all this. And I was like, "Wow, this is too much," you know what I mean? So yeah, that was all exciting, but at the same time, I'd been diagnosed with cancer, stage 3, which was above and below the diaphragm. So I had a tumour in my neck. You know, I was 5 years clean. I was in recovery. I was doing really well. I was working at this recovery service in Liverpool, you know, giving back. I was in a relationship. I had a house. I had a car. You know, I had a cat that I didn't like, but it was hers, but we had it. So yeah, things were going well. You know, movie, book. Well, what more can you ask for? Bang, this diagnosis. The relationship ended. I was given medication which he abused. So I was given a payout at the same time. So you can imagine that thousands of pounds paid out to me, put in my account. And I'm saying to myself, I'll just have one. Just one. I'll get away with this. I can justify it because of...
So you relapsed again?
Yeah.
With the cancer?
Yeah. So relapse with the cancer. You know, the girlfriend I was with, she left. I couldn't, like, the job, sick pay ended to a point where, you know, I wasn't even coming back to it, you know what I mean? So that got stopped. I couldn't pay the rent on the house I was in, so I was avoiding the landlord every time he was knocking at the door. I had all the furniture was gone because the girl was with took it, so I'm left with nothing basically. The only thing she left was a cat which fucking ran away in the end, so it was just me and my addiction in a dark place to a point where I broke into my neighbour's house, right? Which I don't feel good about, by the way. You know, people keep telling me and reminding me about stuff that I've done in the past, and, you know, I accept that. I can't change it. I'll never escape. You know, my history, it is what it is. But that kind of, that was another significant moment because I was hiding the addiction from everyone.
Did that land you back in jail?
Yeah. See, the producers took money out of me, what I had left, and paid for me to go into this rehab in Essex.
Right.
So it was a privately funded rehab. It cost a fucking few quid. I could have done it in a fucking council one. But I went in there and I was there for 6 weeks, and I've got clean. By the time I've got out, I'm like 6-7 weeks clean. The police have come and charged me for breaking into my neighbours. You know, it we got on with, and I didn't get on with it. But at the rest of the time, they were on holiday, and I you know, I feel terrible about it. To be fair, Liam, it's not the nice thing to do. I was that fucking fucked in the head that I couldn't even. I never even had the energy to go out. You know, I never had the energy to graft anymore, or the art.
How long clean are you now?
Now I'm 8 years clean.
Okay, that's a significant stint of time, isn't it?
Yeah, but at the time, so I landed back in prison. You know, they said I couldn't. I was put on chemotherapy. So you got to remember, I'm on.
So you're in jail on chemo?
No, I just finished the chemo that month.
Right.
So you've got to remember all the contributing factors that led to what I've done. I've spent everything. I've wrecked myself. I want to die. I think I'm going to die. You know, I'm running out of funds. You know, I want drugs to just fucking escape again. I'm doing anything and everything I can possible. To that point where I committed that crime, and I felt so bad about it that I returned all the property, but I couldn't stop. It didn't take away what I did.
Right.
You know, I had no right. Yeah, and I still feel bad about it.
Was that the final straw, do you think,
Yeah,
for you?
it was for me.
The lowest?
I woke up the next morning. I made that decision to tell people the truth because I'd been hiding it for so long. And I admit that I had a problem again, and that I'd relapsed. And that's when the producers thought, well, we've got to get him fucking sorted here. You know, we'll use his money. And I went into this rehab for 6 weeks, got out, got charged by the police, you know, which justified, rightly so. You know, commit a crime, you know. You know, you've got to kind of suffer the consequences. Went to court thinking, okay, so the judge will understand I've been through a relapse. The last 10 years you haven't been in prison, you know, worked with the NHS, you know, I've worked up until the day I got cancer, and they'll give me a squeeze. No. Straight away, he's looked at my criminal record, hasn't even read the letter I've writ. Right, 2.5 years in prison. Right. So I'm 5 months clean by this time. Never been to prison clean in my life. I've always been going in rattling, and that's a fucking just go through the system. But this time I went in 5 months clean, and I stayed clean from the 23rd of September 2017, and I haven't used since. I haven't smoked a cigarette. I haven't drank. I haven't took a substance. The only fucking thing I've took is a fucking paracetamol, you know. I know exactly what happens to me. And in that 8 years, I haven't been arrested. I haven't been charged. No one's been robbed. No one's been hurt. No one's been fucking attacked. I haven't been attacked.
Did you feel like a better man?
Yeah. It's like I become my dad. I become a demon. I become all those things that I don't want to be. And I remember saying to me mum, look, you know what? I know I'm not the man I should be, and I know I'm not the man I could be, or the man I want to be. But I thank God I'm not the man I used to be, right? Because, you know, I am fucking horrible. You put something in me and it changes everything. All my makeup just changes. I'm someone else. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, fucking hell, but he's got fucking dough. Bam. It's someone else. It's not me. It's horrible.
I reckon anyone that's met you since you've been clean will find it very hard to believe who you are when you're not clean.
Yeah.
Because it's a shock to me to think of all the things that you've done on the man that you admit to be when you're on that. But I suppose when you're on the substance, you are the substance. You're not Billy Moore no more.
No, you know, and that's why I'll finish off in a bit with what I do and why I do it.
Is this the street journalism stuff?
Yeah.
Because that's what I want to finish this on now. Now that you're straight and you're clean, I want to know what inspires you to start like documenting on what's going on the street, and also what you've seen, the decline of society, the open air drug use, and the worst towns you visited and the violence.
Well, so I was similar to yourself. I started like a podcast. I was asked to come on a few podcasts, James English, through Geordie, Lad Bible, and I was telling my stories to everyone in the end, and I got fed up like of listening to me own fucking, you get bored. You know what I mean?
Get that totally. I get it. Yeah,
you do. So, and then I'd read comments which saying, yeah, this guy should have his own podcast. Well, first I'll start one, and I interviewed I've had like Paddy the Baddy, Tony Bellew, fucking Molly McCann, all these like Liverpool people from Liverpool, Paul Schmidt, and one of the Smith brothers, and I was getting good guests on, great interesting stories, the likes of Kevin Lane and Carlton Leach, and just interesting people. I had a lot of interesting people, but then I got to a point where I wasn't feeling it anymore. I liked to interact with people. And I went out one day and I started to speak to people on the streets, people like myself, people who've been there, and trying to inspire them to change and share my experience with them, because I know what it's like to be in a dark place. I know what it's like to be in that fucking cell and to miss a meal and to sleep on a cold street. So I wanted to share my experience and hope that someone would get it. Not everyone does. There's a lot of people who react, and if you make yourself a target, then you put yourself on a platform. It becomes that I'll treat you the way you treat me. We'll talk about 𝐿𝐸𝐵𝐻, my first experience with him. I don't really watch other people's podcasts. I just hear people say, "Oh, he hates crackheads, he hates smackheads, this, that, and the other." And I felt like a little bit offended. Okay, I'm an ex-user, right? I'll always be an addict, but I don't have to be an active addiction. And the first time we spoke, and he said, "Do you feel offended that I called crackheads?" I said, "Well, it's a bit derogatory." And there was this guy, everyone called him Crutchy. And I when I met him, I liked him. He was fucking wild. He was sleeping in doorways with another guy called 𝐼𝐻𝐸𝐵𝐻. He was in a wheelchair. These names that 𝐿𝐸𝐵𝐻 would give these characters, Crutchy, because he'd whacked them with a crutch. And so you've got all these mad characters with these mad names. And, I met them, and they're like me. I can bounce off anyone, me. I'll speak to anyone, doesn't matter what background, what race, what religion, lack of religion, colour, creed. I'll speak to you. If you've got a story and you want to share it with me, then, we can relate and we can have a good chat. And I'll have a little bit of banter. And I started building a relationship with these people within the gardens. And it gave me an opportunity to get in the middle of them and have a chat with them, whereas other people were on the firing line from a distance.
Right.
Where I was in the middle, and I felt it was a bit more easier to communicate and get a story from them. And then when I heard what they were going through and, what they were saying, I could relate to it. And I kept saying to this Crutchy, "What's your name?" He went, "My name's Anthony Mera. But people call me Turbo." I said, "Why don't you fucking give yourself a chance, lad? You're weird. You don't want to be like doing this for the rest of your life. He's had 5 daughters. He was telling me he had a good job." And I was thinking, wow, he went from a great job, great family life, kids, to losing his dad who was in a wheelchair. And then I picked up why he was pushing this other fella around in a wheelchair who was homeless. So I picked it up. He was playing that role again, and I thought, I'm going to keep working with him. So I did for about a year. I kept telling him there was a better way to live, and and I pushing it on him. And now he's in recovery, right? He's 6 months clean. Next week he's doing a 10K run. He's sponsored by Adidas. And this is fucking unbelievable. This.
How about that?
He's got his son back in his life, his kids, and I feel really emotional when I see that. Not because it just reminds me of me. Because people used to write in the comments, "Billy, fuck him off, he's not worth it. He's not worth it. He's a waste of space. Leave him, sack him." And I thought, Billy, that is exactly what people said about you, right? That's the same stuff that they're saying about him, they said about you, right? And now, it's not that he's proved everyone wrong. It's not about proving people wrong. It's about, showing people that there is change in others. You can.
If you dig deep enough, you can change.
And what I see now is people say to me who are on the streets, go, I've seen Anthony. They call him Anthony now, right?
Has Charlie and Anthony reconciled the relationship?
No, but hopefully they will do, because, you know, Anthony's got old no resentments, which is quite nice, really, because he's been on the receiving end of a lot. But, you know, he's made himself that target. He's put himself on that platform.
And out of character, Charlie Veach has got a big heart as well, because I've interviewed him.
Yeah, off camera, I've spoken to Charlie, and I quite like, you know, I quite like him off camera.
He's got a lot of kindness in him.
Yeah, he has. And he's a different person when he's on there. So, you know, but it is what it is, and he does what he does. And kind of like, you know, he's...
Because you sometimes cross each other, don't you, when you're doing your content?
Yeah, and we're civil.
Yeah.
You know, and we don't really... He does what he does, and I've accepted that's how he operates. And he accepts how I operate. And there's a balance.
I have to admit, I love watching you both.
Yeah.
I know Charlie's totally outrageous.
Yeah, he can antagonise.
I mean, he's outrageous, but fucking hell, he has me in absolute stitches. I just can't believe some of the things he comes out of. I think he's very clever. He could have been a comedian, a journalist, an actor. He could have been like a Monty Python script writer. Yeah. Very, very clever
I'm quite
guy.
envious of the way you can articulate and communicate and, like, you know, his knowledge.
Yeah.
Where I've just got street smarts, I'm a scally. You know, but
I like how you get right in amongst them, and when they stick it on you, you give your phone to somebody else, and you offer them yourself, and then their energy changes. I like the fact that you're game with them all as well.
Yeah, you know what? I see everything that goes on. I mean, these people now who's claiming to be homeless, that living in tents, and you know they become portable crack dens. You know, 9 out of 10 people on the streets aren't homeless. You know, there's genuine people out there who are really struggling. And I've got like empathy and, you know, understanding and, you know, trying to help them fucking change. But then you've got people who are, you know, Piccadilly Gardens, for fuck's sake, is like an apocalyptic playground. You know, you got all the illegal migrants in there, shaving up bits, selling bits, you know, stabbing each other, fighting with each other. There's, you know, I've gone to streets in Sheffield where, you know, no one speaks English and there's just fucking fly tipping everywhere and there's a shithole. You know, Liverpool down Home Street, down Smith down, it's just a fucking wreck. All the Albanians just turned it into a bomb site. So when I go down to these little cities and towns and visit these areas, you know, you see the rapid decline of, like, you know, the country as a whole. It's just massive. And there's no integration, there's no communication. There's pockets full of madness everywhere. And there's cliques, different communities. There's no glue like there was back when we were young. Yeah. No glue in the community. No one sticks together, you know. And when you know, it's just a bit of a difficult time we're living in. We see it, don't we? I've got an opinion, you know, I've got my views.
Can you feel tensions rising more and more regularly? I
do. And do you know what, right, to be honest, I'm not really a big fan of going to these protests, but I'll go. You know, and if they're on, I'll pop into one, and I kind of like speak to the left and I speak to the right. And when I speak to people on the far left, say, you know, they become really aggressive, abusive, call me a Nazi. Oh, what the fuck's a Nazi? Why are they calling me a Nazi? I'm not from Germany, you know, I've got nothing to do with Hitler. They call me a Zionist, a fascist. I'm like, fucking hell, these are new words, aren't they? You know, I'll have to find out what this means.
If only they knew you've been a Buddhist, a Christian and a Muslim.
Fucking, you call you a racist? I was like, fucking hell, come on, stop it now. Now I felt offended. You know, now I don't. I get to a point where I don't feel offended because, look, I know I'm not. And I've got to, you know, it becomes your narrative.
Well, you're kind of the least fascist or racist.
Mate, I'm far from it. You know, I'm not into, you know, it doesn't really fucking matter. You know, what's going on within our country is quite shocking because we see it on the news a lot. We see it in on channels, little small channels that I've got going on YouTube, where, you know, the violence that's erupted within our communities is a lot more than it was back in the day.
It's far more extreme now, isn't it?
It's far more extreme, you know, and it comes from both sides. It's not like we can't just say it's this and it's that. You know, it comes from all over the place. But what I say to people is, when you're saying refugees are welcome here, right, I get it, but what about illegal migrants that are economically travelling from France to England, right, and then getting arrested for crimes, like unsavoury crimes as well? How do you defend that? Oh, but what about the people in here? I said, I know we've got our own monsters. We don't need to import others. That's the issue. We've got our own monsters here that we've got to deal with first. But what we're doing is, we can't even deal with them, but we'll import others first on top of that. So it's double a problem, right? It's a fucking no-brainer. My mum can't even get an appointment for the hospital. You know, she gets a phone call, she got to wait 6 weeks for the phone call back. You know, years ago, the doctor would come to the house.
Mm.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Right, you call the doctor, you're sick, and he'd turn up at your house an hour later. Now you never see one, you know.
And the thing is, you see more than most because of your street journalism. I mean, you really are boots on the deck. You put yourself in the most volatile situation, so you've really got a good flavour of what's going on out there.
Yeah.
And it's channels like yours that people need to pay attention to because you don't shy away from any conversations or confrontations, do you?
No, it's you know, I believe if you shy away, then you don't get what you need to, you know, you don't understand what people are going through.
Do you come under any attack or any threats? Because a lot of you street journalists now are getting death threats. I say a lot of you, I mean, I can name a specific few that have been on the podcast and said they've been given Osman warnings, official letters by the police to say that your life's in danger and here, you know, we've got the evidence, be careful. Have you had any of them?
No.
It's because you take a different approach, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm not here to hate on anyone or give anyone a hard time. You know, like I said, I've always respect people. If they respect me, I'll respect them. You know, I'm willing to listen to someone's story. I'm probably on a different level than. I mean, I think these are auditors, aren't they? Most of these.
Yes, that's true enough.
See, I'm not like an auditor. I don't go around like fucking looking for problems or issues. I'm just out there. I let the camera do the work. You know, I'm very random. If I see someone up, how are you? What's going on? Tell us a little bit about the area. Whether they know or whether they don't, and you know, whether they're willing or whether they're not. It is what it is. I don't force anyone to, you know, go on camera. There's a lot of people out there that I don't know that are struggling and that are in need of help. You know, I got a message this morning. I'll show you after this, where you know a young woman said to me, "Thanks for that video you put on. I seen, you know, my brother on there. We haven't seen him for years." She explained why he was out there and they thought he was dead, you know, because he hadn't been in touch. And they were really grateful because some people go missing, they go off the radar, you know, they're out there for years. But because I'm in the thick of it and I'm in places where no one will go, you know, the most austere areas, or, you know, in the undergrowth where there's fucking tents. I mean, you go to Stoke and it's like, Stoke is an absolute mess. You know, I've been to campsites where there's addicts on monkey dust. Just fucking bizarre fucking way of life. Just like communes. You know, Liverpool's like tent city at the minute. Piccadilly Gardens. Sheffield, Page Hall is just like a fucking scrapyard. Coventry, a lot of Afghans there that are very volatile and violent, kicking off. Probably one of the most dangerous areas in the country, I believe. And that's not from people who live here either. So,
do you feel fulfilled now? Because I feel like when you're an addict, you're always chasing something new. Do you feel satisfied with what you're doing now? And content is the right word. Are you content with your work now and where you're at?
Well, let's put it this way, right? When I was diagnosed with the cancer and he said I couldn't have children and, you know, would I like to freeze my sperm cell and all that stuff, I wasn't even interested. You know, I tried to have kids with multiple women over the years that I'd met and I fell in love with, and I thought they were the answer. You know, if we get kids, settle down, have the house, have the car, the family will be okay, and, you know, that'll be me fucking at peace with myself. And with the cancer treatment and the chemo, they said it was almost impossible to have any children, so I thought, okay, you know, I gave up on that. On the chance of ever having a family. And then I met this woman and, you know, who I loved dearly, and we've got, you know, these two wonderful little boys who are fucking great. I mean, it's just a different experience. I've got, you know, I've got the chance to nurture.
Yeah.
To be a dad, you know, the opportunity to allow them to make their own decisions and, you know, never hit them and never be aggressive or violent or be that person that they're going to cower down to.
So there's a happy ending to this story.
Yeah, you know, and even my dad, to be fair, you know, I'll tell you like what happened with my dad at the end. You know, my dad died of cancer and I got to play my dad in the movie, right? Which he came to visit me in this scene in A Prayer Before Dawn, which he never did, by the way. The director did say to me, "Has Dad ever been to see you in prison?" I went, "No." He said, "Well, he will in this one." I went, "What do you mean?" He said, we'd like you to play your father. I was like, fucking hell, you're joking. And this is what he said to me, right? He said, right, Frenchie is believe. He said, what would you say to your father if you had the chance? What would you say to your son if you were your father? I was like, fucking hell, that's a big one, isn't it? So I'm in this last scene within the Philippines now. This is where we're filming in this prison in Cebu. And it's 5 o'clock in the morning. And we're doing the last shot. 𝐿𝐶𝐭 comes in playing Billy Moore. So I'm getting ready, gearing myself up. The director's whispering in my ear, you know, that's your son. What are you going to say to him? What do you want to say to young Billy? And I was like, fuck, I was choked up. Right? And I went, what was the only thing that I ever wanted to hear from my dad? And here he is walking, because I was angry, you know, I was angry. And you could see, I was explaining this to Joe, you know, like, this is how it feel. And he came in, and I also wanted to say, and also did say, or I tried to, which I couldn't muster. I couldn't even get the sense. I was, you know, I love you. That's what I wanted my dad to say to me. So when I seen him and all that's coming up, all these feelings, and it was real, and I was looking into the eyes, and I was picturing myself, and I was like in my dad's shoes. I couldn't say it because of the emotion, and the director went, cut. And I went, wait, that was enough. He said, that was best left unspoken. He said, that was more powerful than actually having to say them words, because I couldn't get it out. You know what I mean? And because every time it was painful, and that's what it is now. So I've got these two wonderful little boys, and you know, I feel really grateful that I've got this life where, you know, I am clean, I am in recovery. They've never had to see me use. You know, I've got an opportunity to go out on the streets and inspire others to change, you know, whether they want to or not. You know, I'm giving them a little bit of hope. I'm showing them that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Not trying to be that beacon where I can go, look, I've been here, I know what it's like. Have you seen my fucking life story? I'm no better than you. I'm no worse than you, right? And I'm not trying to pretend I'm anything different. So for me, you know, I try and like treat everyone the same, you know. And I have got an opinion about certain things and different views, and opinions are like assholes. We've all got them, know what I mean, Liam? It is what it is. And I try not to fucking create any harm, but I won't fucking take any shit at the same time.
Nah.
You know, and that's just how it is for me. You know, I can tolerate a few things, and I'm quite patient until I'm not.
I think you've been through too much to tolerate people's shit, because there's a lot of people out there that have lived very sheltered lives, and you've seen things that make most people's fucking hair fall out.
Yeah.
He says. What would your final message be to the masses on a positive note?
On a positive note,
maybe if they're struggling, no direction.
No direction. I always say this, and people say, well, there's no one out there for me to reach out to. Do you know what, right? You know, when you're in that dark place, I hope you heal from the things that you don't want to talk about. Because there's people out there that, right, even myself, I didn't want to talk about stuff, and you know, I'm not going to heal by keeping it to myself. It's all like a secret, and there's fear. So I do hope people out there heal from what they don't want to talk about, because for me, communication is key. Finding someone you can trust, be open with, someone that'll fucking sit with you and just listen, instead of fucking trying to give you advice and fucking tell you what to do, because that never works. It's just, you know, be there when no one else is, and that's it. I hope people enjoy this story, because I haven't really enjoyed telling it, to be fair.
Have you not?
No, because I struggle. I get to a point where I feel really
conscious.
Yeah, and I feel like quite emotional about, you know, some of the shit I've done. You know, my mum today, she used to shut the door on me. She used to walk around with a handbag. You know, that's how bad it was. You know, she'd fucking always be sobbing. She'd tell me that she used to pray that I'd get arrested, because she knew if I was in prison that I wasn't using what in her head she thought I wasn't. Now, you know, she rings me up for advice, you know, for guidance, support. My brother, he's our Joe, got to finish off on our job, haven't I? Joe is just, you know, he's got autism, he's blessed with autism. He hasn't got a care in the world. The most loving kid you'll ever come across. and he's helped me become a better person, you know, by just sitting there and listening to him. So, yeah, I think I've said a lot. I think
You've covered it all.
I have, yeah.
And I'm very grateful that you shared your story with me because it's completely and utterly out of the ordinary, mind-blowing, and there's light at the end of the tunnel. And I do like a redemption story. And I think there's a lot of people in shit situations that if they listen to your story and where you are now, like a human ball with your shit together, 2 lovely kids, you can't wait to be their dad forever, and you're clean, I think it's going to give people hope. And that's the purpose of these conversations. So I'm very grateful you took the time to come here and share that with me. And in return, I'm now going to go and buy you some dinner. And
you know what? I wish I could interview people like you do, lad. You've got that like voice. You know, when me missus did the voice note, she went, "He sounds like he's off the radio." So well done.
Thank you, mate.
Great. Thank you very much.
No,
Take care.
I enjoyed it. As dark as it was, I enjoyed it, and I'm grateful for it.
Thank you.
Cheers, brother.